Sine wave sweep 32 seconds. 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz and 2 kilohertz per second.
How does a man get to be a pimp?
I can show you a way out. There's another way around to the road.
Another way to the road? You know another way? Good. Come on in. Don't stand there. Look, you show me how to get out of here, I'll give you $1.
$3.
Free? Why, you... Yeah, all right.
Go ahead. Arrest me. Stick me in. You can't punish me. I'm sick. You can't punish me for being sick. All you can do is lock me up, but not forever. One day I'll get out. One day I'll get out. That's the law. That's the law. That's the law. And I'll be back. I'll be back. You'll hear from me. You know fucking
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Where's my rocket ship? Right where they belong.
That's faggot stuff.
Oh, Jesus. I wish you could see this. Lights coming up. I've never seen a painting that captures the beauty of the ocean.
Let's drink to this partnership. To the partnership.
You hear that, Dad? You're gonna pay. He's a molester. He's a child molester.
I just thought I might mosey over the water room for a few minutes, see what's doing over there.
Stop feeling me up, faggot. Why, you getting a hard on, faggot? Bitch ass.
You smoke this, and be sure you get the smoke deep down into your lungs.
I don't smoke.
It's tobacco. It's one of the healthiest things for your body. Now go ahead. You need all the strength you can get.
Ring. Hit me, Chief. Hit me, baby. Put it in the basket, Chief. Put it in the basket. All I want is a fucking number. That should be goddamn good enough for you. Now give me a fucking number. You fucking hear me? I'm sick of this fucking shit. Stop fucking treating me. Give me a fucking number. I'll fucking kill you.
Daddy, did you see that? What? Guy got me on the ground, he tried to fuck me.
There was a guy. An underwater guy who controlled the sea. Got killed by 10 million pounds of sludge from New York and New Jersey.
Fez show. I'm Ron, there's Fezzy.
Hiya, buddies.
Black Girl on music. We've got that, played a little Pixies, because later on this morning we've got a guy who did the new Pixies documentary.
Yeah, we got Stephen Cantor and Matthew Galkin. Their film is Loud, Quiet, Loud, a film about the Pixies.
I didn't know it took two guys to direct that film.
It's that good.
All right. Our buddy Laszlo is here from Northern Virginia. You're on your way to India when you...
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Listen, when you get over there, it's close to Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you something. I want you to put it right in Osama bin Laden's back. That's what I want you to do. Get as close as you can, act like you're with him, and then I need you to nail him. Big news coming up here, and I want to call Bronx Johnny in for this. Apparently, May 1st, all the immigration advocates have called on Tuesday, May 1st, to be a nationwide boycott of jobs and schools. So the Latins are going to not go to work or school May 1st. Can we count on you this, Johnny?
No, because I like learning, so I'll be all right.
But you're not going to be part of this. You can't stand solidarity.
It's not solidarity. I'm just, I don't do that. Like, I don't see the point of just, taking a day off. That's what you're basically doing.
What about Cinco de Mayo? You take that day off and nobody makes a big deal out of it. Well, if they had any real courage, Cinco de Mayo would be the day. Now, is this not as big on the East Coast as it is on the West Coast, let them Latins in?
I think it's a bigger thing on the West Coast. I haven't seen that much out here, so.
Now, what is your nationality?
Ecuadorian. I was born here, though. So.
Right. But you said that your people hate Mexicans, so you don't even really want to get involved in this.
I didn't say that.
So you're along with the group that wants them deported?
No, I didn't say that.
11 million Mexicans out of here.
Now, we were talking about this last week. There's schools out west saying don't bring your American flags in because it's starting in trouble. There is one school in San Diego who now has to say to the kids, and I guess this is aimed at the white kids, we don't need you wearing red, white, and blue. Now red, white, and blue are lined up like gang colors on the West Coast.
The colors have finally run. The red, white, and blue.
We're in a situation on the West Coast now where people will form a gang in a heartbeat. You don't really see many gangs on the East Coast. Not a whole hell of a lot of them in the South. The West Coast loves a gang.
We got a couple of gangs.
What gang you in? Latin Kings? Is that where you roll?
When I was young, I used to be in folk. That was something down south, though.
What happened with folk? What was that about? The folk music scene down in the It was down in the village.
Very passive gang.
Lay down your head, Tom Dooley. Lay down your head.
Nah, they rocked camel, like just black and white camel. I think they merged with Crips and everything, so I really wasn't with that.
You did you get beat in and beat out of the gang, Johnny?
No, I just had to steal something.
Yeah. His gang name? Beautiful Cock.
Wow.
I guess that's the same thing that has men coming on to him in the men's room. The other night at our party, Johnny said he had to punch somebody for admiring your penis at the urinal.
What would you have done if they insulted it?
866-RUN-0-FEZ. 866-RUN-0-FEZ. Fezzy, how can you insult a flawless gem? That's never going to happen.
It's got cut clarity.
That would be a crazy person to say something about the beautiful penis. All right, here is Scott. Scott, you're on Ron and Fez.
Good morning, guys.
Yeah.
Maybe you could rehash that again. What was the deal? They're going to take the day off or something?
Apparently, this is immigration advocates. They're calling on people to stay away from work and school on May 1st.
So basically nothing's changed. Maybe they should try going to work and they'd make a statement.
All right, no, I know that you're saying that, but on Cinco de Uno, I don't know really the whole thing. I guess it's Una de Mayo. And I say this myself, the folk gang, hopefully the Latin Kings. Why not take a day off of work? Ed, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Ed. I know how you can stop the immigration.
Yeah.
Just have the United States government buy Mexico. Then they'll stay right where they are.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're rolling in cash. All we have is money anymore.
China owns all our debt.
Dan, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddy.
Well, the joke's on them, Fezzy, because they ain't getting shit from us.
I'm over here in Arizona.
Yeah, well, okay.
And, the border where I'm at, it's about 20, 25 miles.
Yeah.
And people just walk across, man.
Yeah.
That's why it's a bigger problem over here. And not only that, the gangs
put death warrants on some of these border patrol guys. I mean, they give them like $2,000-$3,000 for everyone they kill.
Yeah, well, one time I got punched in the back, so I know what it's like to be on the edge. One time at school when I was trying to do my work, I got punched right between the shoulder blades.
Damn.
That's just not right.
Johnny, it hurts. Knocks the wind out of you.
I hear that.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't squeal. You know why? I don't rat.
I hear that. I respect that, boy.
Yeah.
Stop snitching.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. SS, my brother, stop snitching.
Here's some irony for you. Yeah. One of the guys that was in the Stop Snitching DVD, the one that Carmelo Anthony got tricked into doing.
Yeah.
His name is like Skinny Sudge, something like that.
Now, is Carmelo Anthony, is that the one married to Tony Soprano?
Oh, no, that's Carmela. Anyway, this guy got picked up on assault charges that he was wanted for because someone dimed him out. Police got an informant that said where he was staying.
He's begged you people to stop snitching. He's begged you people to stop snitching. Hey, Tim, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Ron, what's up, buddy?
Not a damn thing, buddy.
Hey, if you have any problems, just flash the devil horns at Bronx Johnny.
Well, how's that work, Johnny? Does this mean something to you?
I have no idea.
Is that
what
down
that
with
means.
folk? What's that mean? Yeah. El Diablo. All right, here's Bill. Bill, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, guys, what's up?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I thought May Day was like the biggest of all the communist holidays.
Yeah, I don't even know if they have May Day anymore over in Russia. I think that's even stopped.
It used to be the nice day to bring out all the nuclear weapons on trailers. No floats, just giant atomic bombs.
And people would actually, I don't think they were the atomic bombs, but they would just roll their tanks by, and people would be applauding like, yay! We really have some nice military stuff right now. Johnny, I noticed you're wearing the L.A. hat today. What's that all about?
Yeah, it felt
Solidarity?
No, I felt comfortable to wear today.
Yeah.
Some guy gave me like a pound sign on the train. Okay.
Oh, is that right?
I guess that's what it's about.
Everything leading up to May 1st.
Guess.
All right. Do me a favor. Let all the Latin people know I'm down.
I hear you, boys. I'll get it out there.
I have no Latin blood, but I do own pre-Columbian art. And I don't know how impressive that is.
Damn.
Yeah. All right, Ron and Fez show, 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Laz, when you heading off to India?
Next Tuesday.
This is your first time there?
Yeah.
Enlightenment, is that what you're after, or more computer work?
I figure I can lose about 50 pounds in 9 weeks, so that's...
Just drink right out of the river.
Yep.
And everything should leave you very fast. Fez, what's the furthest you've been from home?
Furthest I've been away, I went to Belize.
Oh, Belize Navidad.
Thank you. Prospero año y felicidad. Yeah, so Central America is about as far as I've gotten away.
I saw some of your pictures, and one of them, Johnny's grandmother's, just standing there as you're driving by.
And that was just when I got off the cruise ship for a couple hours.
Fezzy, big shocks last night on American Idol. Your streak is over. You had picked two to go home last night.
I picked the McFever, Catherine McPhee.
And who went home? Mandingo. Mandingo left us last night.
Mandisa.
All right, let me look over the scouting report I had for her. Best voice in the competition. Bright personalities I had as her pluses. Gee, why did she get voted out so fast? Let me look over to the minuses. Black and fat. So I guess in America, black and fat... it's more important than best voice and great personality.
Yeah, it really outweighs the talent. And yeah, I think like the two last black contestants that are in this, both in the bottom three last night.
Yeah.
Paris and Mandisa.
Earl, what are you going to do? You got to somehow pull the people together for this, or black people don't watch American Idol.
I don't know. I don't watch Idol. I don't know any of my friends that watch it.
By friends, what do you mean?
No, I mean just friends in general that watch it. I'm not saying
you know me and Fez.
Well, yes.
We watch it.
You know Dave.
And some of my darker hued.
All right, that's what I was after. People in the community.
Don't watch American Idol.
Yeah. Earl, you sticking with the Latins on May 1st? You taking off that day?
No, I gotta be here with my buddies.
If only they did it on a Saturday, it would work out a lot better. It would seem like a bigger boycott. Nobody was at work today.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure I know they're trying to prove a point that they could shut, I guess, not only a city down, but a nation down. I'm just trying to figure out is there a rally? Is there a big protest? Where does it all center around?
Doesn't matter, does it, Earl? Just join in. For 5 seconds, be Bobby Seals. Is that too much to ask? What if you come to work, but you're bound and gagged and put in the chair? And we'll play Chicago in the background. By Crosby, Stills, Nash.
Do the whole show.
By Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I'm trying to set you up there for a musical thing.
David Crosby and Nash were at Gilmore last night.
Call me when something like this comes up.
I didn't even know myself.
Did they come out on stage?
Yeah, they sang quite a few.
What did they sing? Well, did they open for him? Or did they?
No, they sang with him. Some of the stuff.
You wouldn't think that Crosby and Nash would be friends with David Gilmour. It doesn't seem like they would run in the same circles.
A lot of water between them.
Yeah. And not only that, it's just like Pink Floyd never seemed like they were in anyone else's musical scene. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a Liverpool sound there or anything.
Maybe Tangerine Dream. That's about it.
Yeah, man. Okay. Here's Bruce. Bruce, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, I don't see how the black and fat does it because Reuben won like 2 years ago. I think the black people just gave up on it because even though Reuben won, they give Clay all the fame. I'm out.
They just what?
They give Clay all the fame.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Well, hang around. You don't have to panic before you leave. It's a good point. Reuben did win American Idol, and then apparently the next day he went into the witness protection program and hasn't been seen again.
Just at diners.
Here is Randy. You're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
You know, man, American Idol needs to get something hooked up with the correctional facilities because they don't collect calls. That's why they're getting voted off, the Schwoogies.
Earl, I'm sorry you had to hear that. I really am.
What are you going to do with people?
As you know, I like people from all over the world. My own Bronx Johnny, and my good Indian friend Laz. Laz is here today from India. What part of India are you from?
I'm from Bangalore.
From what I understand, India, really big into basketball. Everybody loves basketball in India. I'm sorry, I'm thinking Indiana. Indiana is where I'm going. I'd seen Hoosiers, so I thought that was the direction.
Tom Cruise, he was saying that his dad used to kick him and abuse him as a kid. So that's the latest in the Tom Cruise saga.
The only interesting thing is, why did you stop, Mr. Cruise? Why? What day did you actually stop kicking and punching?
So you got to think maybe this is why Tom went into the Scientology.
Well, you know, why is it that no matter what anyone does, they blame back on what they happened when they were a kid? If he would have went into drugs or hit women himself, oh, that's his fault. That's, you know, what happened when he was a kid. So no matter what, they just act like it was a reflection of when you were a child.
Yeah, and I think they ditched his dad. His family ditched his dad like when he was 12 years old. That was like the last time he saw him till he went and saw his dad on his deathbed. And then the latest rumor with Tom Cruise is that he has gotten a giant pacifier, adult-sized pacifier for Katie Holmes, so that she stays quiet during that silent birth.
Yeah, I think what they have is a bit, Fezzy, that you bite down on, so that you're not screaming and fucking the kid's life up. I guess a kid, the last thing they want to hear when you're being born, the Scientology babies, when they hear some woman yelling.
Yeah, you go from that nice quiet waterbed of a womb, and then next thing you know, it just seems like all hell's broken loose if you're a newborn.
Or like when Tom Cruise came in the world with his dad just kicking him and punching him. And he says his dad used to kick him and punch him and yell, "You're going to do lousy movies. You can't act. You're a terrible actor." Why do you think some people get so caught up in what happened to them when they were a kid and other people just brush it off?
I think some people just have a better ability to let things go. You know, where other people just stay focused on the past. That's like their experience.
I understand, but why would you focus? I mean, you don't focus on what happened to you yesterday. Why do you focus on something that happened to you when you're 3?
I think there's like an anger that stays with you. I think it's someone that's probably more prone to anger or something like that.
But then you get it out. I mean, if you're going to be angry, then you get angry and you stop. But it's like you could have gotten even with the guy by now. If that's what you really want to do, even if he's dead, like in Tom Cruise's place, get over it, go down there, dig the thing up, and drag his corpse around. Whatever it takes to put this thing behind you, why wouldn't you do? But you ever notice, like, when you have any of those people, and you know, they get abused in some manner, they'll talk about it one day. 10 years later, they're still talking about it. 15 years later. At some fucking point, you make the move. Like, if you're saying, I'm hungry, go get something to eat. When you feel something, do something else to react to it. Am I right there, Johnny?
Yeah, boss, you're right.
Yeah. Put on an LA hat. Feel good about yourself. Roll with it.
I wonder if it's a thing of maturity, where it's like people that hang on to that aren't grown up. They still feel like a kid inside, even though they're physically grown up. So that's why it lingers.
But everyone goes back to that, whatever it happens to be, whether it's even if they do something positive with it. You know, they become like, I don't know, like a workaholic, or they feel like they have to keep buying shopping malls. It all come back to, well, when I was a kid, I didn't have enough money to get the sneakers I wanted. Well, you fucking do now. So put on your brand new sneakers and take Saturday off. You know, why do you constantly have to go back and focus on something? Earl, what about you? What age did you find out you were black, that shocking news was delivered to you?
I was about 5 because I had to be bussed in.
From where? To your own family?
No, when I was in grade school, I got bussed in from Corona into Rego Park, which at the time was primarily white and Jewish.
Boy, those people must have been happy to see that fucking bus rolling down.
No, I was second.
As you called it, Jaime Town.
I was like second generation because my older sisters, they were first.
Second generation black?
Busing.
Yeah.
But, no, my sisters caught the real brunt of it because that was like right at the height of the civil rights movement.
Right.
So, I mean, they walked into protest.
By the time you came, white people had already given up?
A little bit. It was a lot more subtle. It wasn't, the open protest and throwing stuff at you, but you definitely got the stares and the looks. So that's when I went, why are they staring at me? Because you're not white.
Is that right?
Literally, that's what happened.
Have you ever managed to get over that yet, Earl?
Oh, I got way past it.
Yeah, I'm not. Not with you.
I still stare.
Yeah. I still stare every day. I go, why is he being bussed in from Queens? Why can't we have a producer who lives local? Johnny, what about for you? When did you find out you weren't black?
Probably when you told me I wasn't black.
Yeah, you're not. I love the hat and the style and all, but you're really not.
I hear you, boss.
Yeah. In your own way you are, though. You date a lot of black chicks, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you love it?
Yeah.
You ever sometime when you're doing it, just slip the N-word in their ear, just whisper it just to get them a little crazy?
No, I'm good. I don't.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a smart move. You know why, Fuzzy?
Why
they don't like it. They do not like that at all. Here is Jake. Jake, you're on Ron and Fez. How are you, buddy?
How's it going?
Yeah.
Hey, I got an offer for Laszlo. If he's going to India, I will give him a crispy $5 bill if he finds Steve, my Dell customer service guy, and kicks his ass.
You work with those kind of people. That's why you're going to India?
Yeah,
Laz?
a little bit. Sometimes, yeah.
So, are you trading people over there? Or are you...
Yeah, in today's world, all the big corporations are all global, and,
right.
and you have to be on all the time. And definitely the call centers, we have a lot of call centers in U.S. as well. I don't think we have any call centers over there, but we have engineers over there.
Why did you wink at me when you said that? When you said we have them in the U.S., then you gave me the wink.
No, seriously.
I know they use American names, so that's always cool. But I doubt very much if they're actually American. But everybody's cool, right? It's just one big world corporate economy, and we're all going to fall into place.
Yeah, we all sell to the man.
Yeah, sure. Jason, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, hey, I just heard Big Earl talk about when he was being bussed in. I got it. Kind of
Big Earl's his father. Just call him Earl. Go ahead.
What do you call it? I grew up. I'm Mexican. I grew up in a white neighborhood. Okay. And because my parents wanted to get us out of all that gang shit.
Sure.
And
you're moving on up.
Yeah. So at grade school, they would at the school I went to, they would bust in. There was a town, the next town over, they would bust in the Mexican kids. And at recess, we would play soccer. Mexicans against the whites.
Sure.
And
that was the Arizona version of shirts versus skins.
Yeah,
darker skins.
And I could never play on the white team because I was Mexican.
Right.
And the Mexicans didn't want me because I grew up in the white neighborhood, so they didn't say I was white, and so I had to kick it back. There was a couple of black folk that were mixed in there, but so I used to kick it with them. And
you didn't fit into either world.
What's that?
You didn't fit into either world.
No, I just...
Now, see, our own Bronx Johnny, he was a student athlete. He lettered on the handball team that they used to play. Johnny, when you, for you, was it broken into racial things like that too, with the Latin kids hang together, or everybody was together?
I get along with everybody. My best friend is black, man.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Earl.
Yeah, Earl's cool. I wouldn't say best friend.
My
but he's
very
cool.
best friend, Earl.
Where would you rank Earl and your best friends?
Like he's like out of 10, he's right there. He's like at an 11.
All right, Earl, right on the outside.
You are so close to cracking the top 10.
Yeah, just like like you've always had to deal with, just on the outside looking in. 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Now, Fez, you never even saw a black kid till you were 30.
Oh yeah, it took a while. I went to a private church school, like for elementary school, and not a single black kid there whatsoever.
No black Lutherans?
No black Lutherans, at least not at our church anyway, or our day school. So not until I hit public school did that dawn on me.
That there were even black people in the world?
Yeah, that they existed. I had always heard.
What was your reaction when you saw someone just of darker hue?
Well, Earl, do you remember when you saw Planet of the Apes the first time? That's how his family actually felt. Like, how could this be?
For the longest time, we felt like the 3 white astronauts on the raft, and we thought it was a deserted planet.
Sure.
Then we heard that waterfall. Next thing you know, there's an ape on a horseback.
Boy, what a long, long angle that was in that movie. If you ever go back and watch Planet of the Apes, they walked around the desert for the first 25 minutes of the film.
From the time they blow up that raft to you see an ape on a horse, it takes forever.
Yeah. Here is Scott. Scott, you're on the Ron and Fez show. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, I was trying to find out if the Latins take the day off, will we be able to get the blacks to cut our grass?
We don't need racism here. We're sitting here trying to love our differences. That's what we do on the Ron and Fez show, where you really have somebody like Fez who was put in a beautiful bubble, and that lasted as long as it possibly had. And then Earl and Johnny, let's face it, there were no bubbles for them. No bubbles at all. And everybody now comes together in the Ron and Fez show.
See, we're all here.
Yeah.
Trying to build another bubble. Oh, no bubbles.
And Fez, you don't have any racist feelings. You've been able to come to grips with it all. Let's test that today. Earl, I want you to touch Fez's sandwich. That's all I want you to do. Just come by, put a finger on it, leave it there, and see how far he's come.
Earl, it's not you. It's any germs, really, no matter what color the germs are.
Can we drink from the same water cooler?
Sure. I want you to do all that kind of stuff.
You haven't been using the water cooler out here, have you?
Yeah.
Here's, by cooler, do you guys mean fountains? I can't follow along. Because a cooler, you would just be putting in the cup, and it's not a really big deal. Here's Matt. Matt, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
How you doing, Ronnie?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, I played college soccer up in
I got my own
Connecticut.
radio show. Thanks, Johnny.
Fezzy, what's up? Sorry about that. I played college soccer up in Connecticut, and we had such split hardline racial problems.
Yeah.
But it was weird. It was the white kids and the black kids against the Portuguese and Brazilians. It was like, we played the way we played. We even had a stabbing.
You guys must have got the shit kicked out of you if you're playing against Brazilian kids.
No, we were actually. It was like 2 Brazilians who were the best players on the team, and the rest were like these Portuguese or the pork chops, as we call them. But they,
witty.
What?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we after one of the games, we're back in the locker room. One of the Portuguese and one of the black kids gets into a fist fight. The black kid leaves. He comes back. They get into another fist fight, and the black kid stabbed him in the back.
Thanks for the shocking story. 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. That'll be our lead story on tonight's local news. Portuguese getting stabbing in the back by black kids. More at 11.
That must have kept him from going pro with that soccer thing.
Well, when you go pro in America playing soccer, you really don't get any money. It's just
It's the uniform.
It's basically like being in a beer softball league. By the way, Earl, I got a big email from our buddy Billy Staples that says, what the hell's going on with this gig that he's putting together, and why is Jersey Rich calling his house 11 o'clock at night? I need you to be on top of this. I guess you handed it over to Jersey Rich?
No, not at all.
We're going to blow the Billy deal. I'm telling you right now, he's a guy on the edge Hey, look who it is, Fezzy. It's your best buddy, Flipper. Hey, Flipper, what do you say, pal?
Ron and Fez, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man.
Hey, Flip.
I just wanted to add in that I was in high school in Florida, just north of Tampa, and it was 1987, and there was only one black kid in the whole class, and the whole school of
And his head was on a fucking swivel. All day long, he's looking around. Someone drops a book behind him, he's checking shit out.
I know, it was a girl at that. It was just literally one black kid out of 2,500 students.
The only person that you can listen to music with.
Exactly. But I mean, I came from New York in the 70s, the melting pot, and then I came to Florida, and it was like, we're all the black people. Sure enough, the county I was living in actually was one of the last to get, I guess, desegregated.
Yeah.
So all the kids were literally bused. I mean, all those families moved. So, I mean, it was white. Seriously white. I mean,
just as white could be, huh? Just a
no
utopian society that they had lined up for themselves.
No soul whatsoever, man. It was white and pickup truck as you could be, man.
On the local music station's Afternoon Delight was still holding strong as the #1 song. Hey, Flip, you got your little girl in school now, right?
Yeah, she's going to 2nd grade, and I'm glad you mentioned that because literally I have to ask you some for parental advice, dude.
Go ahead. I don't think it's yours. If that's what you're leaning towards, I don't think it's yours. I saw her; she's very cute. Yeah. All right. So
I got 2 daughters, but my 7-year-old, she's in 2nd grade, and she comes up to me, almost in tears the other day. And you have a daughter, so that's why I need some advice here, you from the listeners or whatever. But
go ahead.
I'm sitting there, and she goes, this boy said something to me today. I said, what did he say? He goes, this boy said to her, I want to hump your rump. I'm like, it's 2nd grade. I'm going, geez,
he's not going to do it. He just hears the radio.
I know, but it's this one particular kid. Then she said, just the other day, she goes, he said something else. I said, what did he say? He said, he's calling me hot. And I'm going, oh, God.
All right, here's the thing, Flipper. You have got to finally have that talk to her about her lumps, her lady bumps.
Well,
that's the conversation.
I don't know if I'm ready to have guys, getting on it. It's way too early, dude. Second.
That's daddy's.
Now, should I? I'm about to tear this kid's head off.
Quit dressing her in tube tops and miniskirts, then.
Oh, it's a private school, dude. It's
like a private dance.
Yeah. I need advice, not criticism.
All right, but it seems...
What do you do?
I got to use a bad word here, and that's hooah. That's what I got to say to you. It seems like she's acting a little hooish. I don't think that she is. I'm just a little nervous about the vibe that she's giving off.
She can't wear Hello Kitty on the back of her shorts without someone wanting to say hello.
Yeah.
No,
back.
We're talking khaki pants and a burgundy polo shirt. It's a uniform school. Don't give me this Hello Kitty crap and tops.
But it does seem like she's putting off some kind of vibe.
Oh,
is she wearing perfume?
Vibe, dude.
Yeah.
Ronnie, I knew you're a daughter. It's the same thing,
But
dude.
here's the thing. It's not like I don't know your wife. I mean, I know that angle. I know how she sells it.
You got to separate church and state, my friend.
Yeah, that's a good point there.
You got to keep them separated.
All right, hold on for a second. We'll throw it out to the round table. Earl, what would you do if the little kid at school said to your daughter, I want to hump your rump?
Wow, because you can't snitch, because that's not good.
Yeah, hold on, I got to go back and tell them that. Hey, Flip, we're into a no snitching thing. Stop snitching.
Get her one of those T-shirts.
Yeah, so you can't squeal.
We haven't done anything yet, because no one likes a rat, but
right.
I don't want to get her in trouble.
Yeah, and then everybody, starting calling her names and stuff. So, Earl, what would you do?
Flip, you're gonna have to have that talk with her. That sometimes guys say things that are just highly inappropriate, and and she's gonna have to kind of figure out on her own how to deal with it, how to respond to it.
Why don't you have her scrape her crucifix into a shiv, and then she can stab the kid. All right, let me check with Bronx Johnny. Johnny, I know in the Latin community you really care about the daughters, the sisters. You guys go fucking crazy, right?
Oh, yeah.
What would you do? 2nd grade. The little boy says to her, I want to rump your hump.
I'd beat his ass.
You can't beat up a second grader. That's what I want to point out to you.
Well,
you go into school, a grown man, you see a second grader, you beat his ass. Do you know how crazy that's going to look on the news?
It wouldn't look that bad.
And I don't think Flip can take him anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it's a second grader named Toby, who's a mighty fine-looking good brother, if I could say that.
Why be racist with it?
Hey, I gotta give you all the facts.
All right, so now this is what it's down to. You're afraid that she's changing teams. That's what this is all about.
She's turning the brother's head, so I gotta cut up this problem.
Yeah. Well, teach her the N-word. So the next time that she says that, she finally has that comeback.
She won't be as attractive to Toby.
All right, Earl, when you hear this, is it just racism to you? Why bring up that the little boy's black?
Yeah, you didn't have to imply that he was...
we knew, just from the story. We already...
Yes. And then there's a third one.
Yeah.
He made her say, he goes up to my daughter and goes, hey, say stripper in front of everyone. She's like, stripper? And then, then they made fun of her. And then my daughter comes home, what's a stripper? And then
Didn't you show...
about 2 months ago. I was like, so this kid,
love you, brother.
I don't know, I don't know what's going on, but I was going to go up there. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, don't you show up. The last thing she needs is a hippie showing up at the school talking crazy talk. All right, here, Dog wants to help you out. Dog, you're on Ron and Fez. How are you, pal?
Yeah, maybe she should go up and start, rubbing up against his joint with her ass. That usually scares a guy off, an aggressive girl like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Teach her the power.
Yeah, just tell her to give it up.
Yeah. Not give it up, but taunt him with it.
Offer to.
Yeah. All right, here's Dean. Dean, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, I have an answer for that problem he had there. I had a problem with a son when he was in second grade that a kid was picking on him all the time. And instead of going to the school about it, what I did is I called that boy's parents. And I called them up and I said, you're picking on my son, and either stops or, because I'm not going to hit some second grader. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to discipline you to show you.
Dean, are you familiar with the Buddy Hinton story? You're going to end up getting a black eye in this yourself. I mean, the fact is, you're telling kids, don't solve shit with violence, and then you're threatening to beat up somebody's dad.
No, what I was telling him is I told him that either he teaches his kid how to behave in school, or I have to teach him how to teach his kid how to behave in school.
It's a bullshit story. Nobody's falling for it for even a heartbeat. And you would have to be the most immature fucking guy in the world to act like the only thing that we can figure out how to work out what happens in second grade is if I punch you.
Man, that's almost... in a way.
Right, well, to take out the violence, not have violence, and not have the school get involved and make... Because I don't want to go down that road. What I was going to do was call the parents and just say, hey, you need to have that talk with your son. You know what I mean? That was my happy medium, but I didn't... But, first gut feeling is you want to tear the kid's head off. But,
well, you gotta stop that one. And, two, I think it's wrong to... go directly to the parents. I think the school is there for a purpose, that this could be like a learning thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's awful for the teacher to know, hey, one of these kids is talking this way. It's a fucking private school, right, Flip?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're not paying money to have your daughter in there treat it like she's a peeler. That's not what you don't want her to come home with dollar bills in her garter. That costs extra.
She's not coming off of a Jay-Z video shoot.
Thank you. I don't want her coming home a rump shaker. I want her to come home feeling proud of her little body. Here's Bill. Bill, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, I think she's a little dick tease.
We don't know that, sir. That drives you crazy when you hear that, Johnny?
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah, I know. Here is Jeff. Jeff, you're on with Flipper.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah.
I have a good idea to stop this. You get a relative of yours, 4th grader, 5th grader, not too old, but a little bit older. He's the one who throws a little force at them, threatens, puts maybe a little violence, who knows?
Yeah, you got a couple older brothers there, right, Flip?
Yeah. So you get someone on the inside, is what you're saying.
Yeah, get somebody on the inside. Somebody that she can punk to. It's like when you get to prison, if you can't defend yourself, you have to blow someone who can defend you.
It's worth it.
Yeah. Fez, you did it one night in a DUI. There was no reason for you to punk yourself out.
That was just in the back of the police car.
You're in too much of a hurry. Mohawk, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
What you need to do is you got to nip this in the bud now because you got to get her a membership to the gym, keep that ass tight, because if that ass gets big, she's gone.
I don't want it to make it about her ass, Flipper. I don't want to come back and give her body issues.
Exactly. The subject here is not her ass. It's what,
Right.
it's what was said to her.
Right.
To her ass.
Now, what does your chick say about all this? Is she freaked out?
We're just trying to figure out the next move. Not too freaked. I'm the one that's more a little bit freaked about it, thinking, all right, this is only in second grade. What's going to happen in, fifth grade, sixth grade?
You know the direction you're heading in.
That
there.
stripper question will finally get answered.
That's what happens when you live 25 miles within the Mons Venus perimeter.
Well, what are you going to do? It's always looming there over everybody.
Or the next room from her ma.
Exactly. Well, thanks for the advice, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
I'll keep you posted.
All right, peace. Here's Mikey D that wants to help out a little bit. Hey, Mikey, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, guys. Hey, Flipper.
No, he's already gone.
Oh, is he gone?
Yeah.
Oh, man, because I had, a little story, because the door guards used to bother, Lene, and I knew how to nip it out the butt.
Wait, what do you mean door guards?
There's door guards, opening up the door, like the fifth graders and stuff like that.
Oh, I had no idea. I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah, so they open up the doors for the kids to come into school. And
So older kid.
Yeah, they're older kids.
Yeah.
They're like fifth graders.
Like a patrol, but go ahead.
Yeah, and they always bothered Lene, and then Lene would come home, and I let it go for a few times.
What would they say to her? Hey, your dad's not a drummer, stuff like that.
No, they didn't know me yet. They used to say, nice Hello Kitty shirt, baby, and stuff like that. And then make fun of her ponytail and and all that stuff. Make fun of her back, her knapsack. So
Is that what they call the ass now, the knapsack?
That's it. They've got all kinds of slang now. These kids. So I nipped it at the bud after a few times. And I just went to the kids, and I had my hair all wild, showed them my tats, rolled up my sleeves, and I said, "You don't bother my daughter again!" And I screamed at them. And they just looked at me, saw that I was wild, I walked away, never bothered Lene again. That's it.
So you threatened the fifth graders?
I threatened them all. I said, otherwise you have to deal with me. And that's how it works. Now, granted, it's not a private school, it's a public school, so... But I did have a couple of teachers' aides take a look at me and kind of looked at me and discussed.
You were talking about your band yesterday, Jason Garfield, right?
That's my brother's band.
Yeah, so I went and looked you guys up online.
And it's a juggler.
It's the World Juggling Federation president and the author of The Theory and Practice of Juggling is Jason Garfield.
That's Jason.
Here's a picture of him, Fez. Looking like he's got the weight of the world on his mind, like, how am I supposed to juggle all these things?
Yeah, I guess eventually it gets to you. Yeah, how many of these balls can I just keep in the air?
And he has a frequently asked question thing here. Here's the first question. Can you juggling, it just says can you juggling while eating an apple? Yes, I can, is the answer. I choose not to.
I could do that if I wanted to.
It says, can you juggle chainsaws? I suppose I could. I never tried. So I don't know why he gets into some of this.
How did he get to be president of the Juggling Federation?
Here's the next question. Can you juggle fire? No. Are you in the circus? Answer. Unless you ask me this question while I'm inside of a circus, the answer is no. If you mean do I work in the circus, the answer is still no.
Fairly uppity for a juggler.
I do not like circuses. Would you ever accept the Golden Clown Award? Answer. Did you say clown? I don't understand his fucking attitude.
That's why we named the band after him.
Can you juggle me? It depends on your weight. If you weigh up to 18 pounds, I can juggle you and two other objects. This has got to be the worst juggler ever.
It sounds like he's playing catch with one ball. That's the extent of his act.
This is it's got to be the worst band in history. It really can't be a great band.
It is an absolutely great band.
And they juggle?
And we juggle.
Here, by the way, you got to stop Jersey Rich from calling Billy all hours of the night and
I'm
day.
going to have to call Billy because Jersey Rich is just trying to help out, and
Well,
he was speaking to me yesterday.
He said to me, why is there someone in between? Why aren't your producers calling me directly? Earl, did you call him yesterday?
No, I did not.
Did I guess Dave did?
Yes.
Dave, you gave him a call?
Rich. I called Rich because...
Dave didn't call Billy.
So you called Rich to call Billy?
Not at 11:30 at night. The reason why is because we can't have Billy get the date until we knew all the members of the illustrious band Crankcase were together.
And we already have a date. Ron, I wrote to you earlier today. We have a date in mind.
Exactly, because I figured it out with Jersey Rich.
Right now, we've lost the place because Billy's so upset.
No, we won't.
You cannot piss off the wolf.
Billy
You don't
will be
understand about the wolf. He's a cleaner. All right, here's Sean wants to talk to Mikey. Sean, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Sean, go ahead.
Hey, guys. Mikey D, when you were up at Linnea's school, did you happen to mention to anybody that you shower with your daughter?
No,
Fucking moron.
I haven't mentioned anything to them like that, and that was before she even went to that school.
So is this more out of jealousy?
Sorry you got called a moron by that guy.
What, with the door monitors?
Yeah.
No, they kept on bothering her. She used to come home practically in tears. I let it go a few times, but how much can she take?
What did you do then? After that, honey, put it behind you. Let's take a shower.
You need a nice, hot, steamy shower to relax.
No, that's bath time then.
All right, let me check with Johnny. Johnny, a father shouldn't bathe with the daughter, right?
No, man, it's quite awkward, man.
Is it awkward for
Yeah.
you? Yeah. Oh, by the way, our friend Frenchie was here yesterday and was so interested in Bronx Johnny. She says you sound hot.
Oh, word there.
Yeah.
I'm available.
I said that you were. One of us said that you weren't.
I said you were more cute than hot.
Now, the way you said it was as a cock blocker. Earl, I'm going to check with Earl and Dave because they both cringed when you said, because why would you ever say nothing? Well, for A, no one can tell if another guy is hot. And then B, why would you say even the slightest negative thing to a girl? Earl, am I telling the story 100% correct?
It felt like such a body shot.
Yeah,
I
it was.
felt it. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, everybody moaned. So we tried to get it going for you. You wouldn't, Johnny doesn't work for you?
No. No, I think Johnny's a very cute guy. I wouldn't say hot. I wouldn't say like movie star good looks or anything like that.
You don't understand how our code is, Fez. We all help each other. Because on the long shot that any guy gets a woman, you don't want to ever stand in the way of that.
That's what I'm saying.
And to me, he looks like every other guy I've ever seen, so I think that counts for something.
All right. And from what I heard, he has a very nice-looking penis.
All right, I don't know where you post and what's going on, but please, Mikey. All right, sorry that the gig got messed up, Mikey.
I'll fix it. I'll be on it. Don't worry.
Where's my team? Where's Team Ron and Fez? Now, if you remember, Fezzy, my guy was supposed to be Earl. Earl and I have already had words today. Your guy was supposed to be Dave. And I say to him, I'll go with Dave. I go, did you check with Fez? Has Fez told you how to do that thing? He goes like this. Fez does not talk with me.
Now, that is a lie. That is an absolute out-and-out lie. Because I do talk to him.
But do you communicate? Like the little clusterfuck that happened before the show today, where he's whispering in my ear about Laszlo, and I'm like, someone's here from D.C., and I think that he means XM. Oh, he wants to talk to you for 15 minutes. And I'm going, what the fuck are you talking about? He claims he's been on the show 50 times. And then this whispering is going on. Come on in here, Dave. Why can't you go to Mr. Watley, or Mr. W, as you call him? And then Fez says, yes, bring him in. Why the nerves? What is the nerves about?
No, it wasn't nerves. He was sitting, closely.
The wolf is here.
Sorry.
I got to talk to the wolf. Mr. Staples, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey guys, you seem to have forgotten the comic pecking order when you're talking about juggling.
Right, what's that?
Remember, you start out with a normal comic,
right,
comedian, then you've got the comic team.
That's
okay.
That's down a step from a comic?
Yeah.
You would think two better than one.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. It's like two guys trying to play a joke off each other, and it just doesn't work. And then you got the guitar act. The guys get up there and they tell a joke with the guitar and stuff.
They're beneath a team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you got the ventriloquist.
Which is what Eastside Dave is.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Where's your... Yeah, go get your puppet today.
Yeah, I mean...
and then what else?
Anybody can be a ventriloquist on the radio, Ron.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
True.
You know, right now, I'm a contortionist. I'm sitting there with my head almost up my ass talking to you guys.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought I heard an echo.
All right, anybody below that?
Below ventriloquist, we got the impersonator.
Impersonator is actually beneath a... now, why don't you like an impersonator?
It's not. This is me. This is
society.
This is not my impression.
Okay.
This is comic.
So, like
more.
a Dana Carvey would be below a puppet act.
Yeah.
Okay, that's shocking to me.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I thought he was a big headliner.
You have impersonators and you have impressionists.
Okay.
Which are two different. Some are horrible.
Yeah.
And everyone's up there, Jack Nicholson, doing the Jack Nicholson.
All right, what is better, an impersonator or an impressionist?
An impersonator will actually do the voice, where an impressionist will just kind of do the mannerisms.
Mm-hmm.
So, below that, you've got the prop comic.
Oh, okay.
You've got it, which is like almost other than you look at a guy like Carrot Top and you wonder like how the hell is this guy still making it?
How's he living in that giant mansion of his?
Yeah, and getting that facelift for the AT&T commercials.
All right, and
then you've got the joke guy.
What's a joke guy?
Joke guy is the guy who'll get up there for 45 minutes and just tell the old-fashioned jokes like, two Jews walk into a bar, one's on it, boom.
All right, that's like Jackie.
That's pretty funny.
That is good. That's Jackie the Joke Man, Martland.
Yeah.
So he is beneath the impressionist.
Yeah, joke. You know,
Yeah.
Horse walks into a bar, bartender says, hey, why the long face? Boom.
What was those noises you were making?
That's the rim shot.
Oh, okay. All right, anything beneath that?
Yeah. Then
beneath
you've got
joke.
the clown.
Yeah. So that's someone in actual full makeup.
Yeah, the clown, and then comes the juggler.
All the way down there is the juggler.
The juggler. The guy who will sit there and take the sponge balls, and he'll play with the balls, and he'll, bounce the balls in the air, and all the time tell like a silly, almost like a joke at the same time.
Oh, so he's combining two bad comedy forms.
Yeah, so that puts him way down at the bottom of the list.
All right, I'm sorry Jersey Rich called you in the middle of the night last night, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Did Jersey Rich start working for the show?
No.
Why am I dealing with an intermediary?
Here's what you got to understand, Billy. Nobody is working for the show right now.
Uh-huh.
We've got a puppet guy and Earl, which I would consider a joke guy at this point. Every day it's a different joke.
So basically, you got two guys doing one person's job. So you got like Black Side Dave.
Yes, it's Black Side Dave is what we're dealing with right now.
Okay.
Why wouldn't you call him Dave?
Well, here's the thing. I can't say, Billy, get the date for Carabas then, and then every member of Crankcase is doing one of their many solo projects.
But why wouldn't you be in between then? Why should Billy be getting these calls
David,
at
this
his
is your
home?
job.
Yes.
I never told Rich to call you at 11:30 at night, for crying out
Dave,
loud.
this is your job. We talked at 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. What transpired between then and almost midnight?
No, Bill, you're misunderstanding. We couldn't get the date for the rock show until we can confirm when Crankcase could do it. We confirmed Crankcase.
Here's what you don't understand. The Wolf does not get called late at night. Now here's the other part. Fezzy, why am I doing your job? This is your guy. If my guy Earl would have made this mistake, I'd be screaming at him. But you're so aloof with him, and it just lets him run crazy.
You are supposed to be handling these parties, Eastside.
I got it.
And that includes working with Billy.
And Dave, when you are booking a club, you have to give me details.
He's got to get details.
I'll
give you the details.
Here's the date. Here's the band. Make it happen.
Right.
No, you got to give me details. Well, I need a backup date. What if the club is booked on that day?
What happens then?
Never think of that.
Billy, I thought of it silly. I got all of the date that Crankcase could do it at about. I got that finalized at about 10 o'clock last night. That's why I didn't call you.
Then how come I got one date?
What?
I got one date.
One date only.
By the way, on that list of bad acts, where was the song parody man? I just want to know. Oh, yeah, Billy.
See, that's not comedy. That's good. That's known as.
I was just terrified that satellite radio hosts would pop up in there somewhere. No. It had to be lower. Now, here's what you got to understand. You're not back in Jersey, son. This is money-making Manhattan. This is the fucking city that never sleeps.
All right.
See, Dave, I do consulting work for maybe, mid-market, small market. Never in a million years would I think that, number one, I do consulting work for a major market.
You do consulting work for your pharmacist for all the pills.
Ever in a million years would I consider doing promotional consulting work for a national show.
You're talking with a consultant right now.
A national show, Dave. That's out of the question. I sent Wiki my proposition already, for what it's going to cost for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To bring in an outsider for a consultant just to pull off a promotional gig, it's unheard of, man.
It is unheard of.
You have to give me details. Is it going to be a wristband night? Is it going to be an
What is
night?
going on, Dave?
Is it going to be
Steps, Billy. It's one step at a time. You of all people should know that.
All right, Dave.
You're the king of 12.
He doesn't need. You're a joke guy right now. He doesn't need to be getting calls at all hours by an intermediary. That's where this is coming from.
You have to be the liaison.
I'm trying to teach you, Dave.
Thanks, Billy.
Hold on. Here's somebody who wants to help. It's our friend Frenchie. Hey, Frenchie.
Hi, guys.
How are you, darling?
I've experienced the bad production work also.
Oh, you put up with it as well? The producers are bad? Yeah.
Yeah. Did anyone tell you I called back earlier?
No, I hadn't heard a word about it.
Not yet? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I called you back earlier. I called on the hotline and everything right as the show was starting.
Why wouldn't anybody put Frenchie through to us, Earl? What's going on over there?
Well, the show just started, and she was just saying, well, I said, hold on, and she said she didn't want to be on the air.
No, I said I wanted to find out what was going on with something.
With the party?
With a phone call that I had received from somebody. So I called and, I said, well, just find out how important it is. He's like, well, the show started 8 seconds ago. I have to go.
All right, here's what I want you to understand today, though, Frenchie. Bronx Johnny is very, very hot. I think Fez confused that yesterday when he said cute. The word is hot.
They said that he's adorable. That's what I was told.
Yeah, adorable doesn't work for him.
Radio.
Yeah. He's
It's a compliment.
Yeah, he's like more of a killer. This guy.
I heard he was part of a gang.
Yeah, he is. He's in a small gang.
The folk gang.
The folks, yeah.
But he sounds really hot on the radio.
Yes, he's going to be perfect for you. You guys are going to go to Kravitz together and have a wonderful time.
Okay, all right.
All right, hold on. He's going to go talk to you off the air.
Oh, okay.
All right, Johnny, go find out what she wants, all right?
All right, boss.
And, put on your Latin charm.
I got you.
Now, we got some guests coming in, so take those Hustler magazines with you as well. There should be Hustler magazines laying out in front of the guests. Billy, let me apologize right now for Fez's lieutenant. As you know, Earl would never make a mistake like this.
If you say so, I believe you.
Thank you very much.
I want you to know that the call has been placed already. There has been contact made regarding the reservation of the Staples Suite.
Billy, I would expect nothing less out of you. I would only expect you to work every detail.
It's already been done. I just need the particulars.
All right. Why don't I put you on hold, and I'm going to have Eastside talk to you during the break as well. All right, we have our guest coming up next, Fuzzy.
Yeah, Joe Berlinger is standing by. His new project is 10 Days That Unexpectedly Changed America. That's on the History Channel coming up April 9th through the 13th.
Let him know some of the stuff he's done in the past, too, Fez.
Yeah, some of his credits include Some Kind of Monster.
Some Kind of Monster! That's the Metallica documentary. He did that.
And also Paradise Lost, the child murders at Robin Hood Hills.
That's the Memphis 3 stuff, right? The Memphis 3 kids. So we'll be talking to him in just a couple of moments about documentaries, and I wouldn't mind getting one done on you, Fez. I would not mind having a rockumentary on our own Fez Whatley. We'll be back in a few moments. It's the Ron and Fez Show. Hi, we're XM satellite radio personalities Ron and Fez.
And we've been chosen to introduce you, the subscriber, to some of the fascinating new channels coming soon to XM.
First, check out the XM 300.
That sounds like a car race, Ron. What's the XM 300? The top 300 songs?
Oh, it's hit songs, all right, but by artists all weighing over 300 pounds. You'll hear Bachman Turner Overdrive, Aretha Franklin, and the fat guy from Blues Travelers before he got stapled.
Sounds like the XM300 will really be throwing its weight around. Next, it's XM Sounds of Summer. It's all the annoying things that drive you nuts when it's hot out. From buzzing bugs to assholes that just want to talk about the weather.
Hey, hot enough for you?
XM Sounds of Summer. Now there's a hot one. Say, Fez, did you enjoy Tara Reid's show on E?
I sure did, Ron. But since it got canceled, I guess I'll never know what's going on with Tara Reid.
Hey, don't worry, because Paradise is coming to XM. You won't miss one skanky drunken moment.
Oh man, my tit popped out again.
Paradise on XM. I'll drink to that.
You know, Ron, everyone loves Halloween, and the XM Halloween channel has found a way to really scare the kids.
That's right. This year, the XM Halloween channel is going to be extra creepy by playing 24 hours of a sick kid toucher trying to lure children into his house. Just listen.
Come on, kids. I've got more candy in the basement. Just reaching the goodie bag sitting on my lap. Oops, my sheet keeps falling off. I guess I should have worn something under my ghost costume. Now that's scary, but I guess that goes without saying. We hope you enjoyed all the new niche programming coming soon to XM.
And remember, at XM Satellite Radio, you can never be too specific. It's the Ron and Fez show.
Joe Berlinger's in the studio with us. The latest project from him is 10 Days That Unexpectedly Changed America, coming up on the History Channel, April 9th through the 13th. You know him from other documentaries like Some Kind of Monster and Paradise Lost, The Child Murders at Robin Hood Hills.
Joe, welcome to the Ron and Fez show. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks.
How do you ever decide which one's going to go straight to TV and which one's going to be in the movies? It's always interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, when TV people come to me and say this is going to go on TV, then I'm just kidding. I mean, some things cry out for a longer feature-like attention, and some stuff like the historical stuff I did for the History Channel just feels like television, but good television.
When do you get the call from the History Channel and they go, here's something that we want, and then the other stuff you kind of go out on your own?
Yeah, it's a little of both. I mean, luckily I'm in a place in my career where people do ask me to do stuff for them, so that helps pay for the passion projects. Like right now I'm making a film that I'm paying for in the jungles of Ecuador, where the rainforest has been polluted by Chevron Texaco through negligent oil drilling practices. So that's going to be one of my long-term feature projects. But luckily I get hired to do these cool television gigs that sort of help pay the bills.
And you produced this as well, right? So that means you kind of hired other directors with you? Or?
Yeah, this was sort of a very interesting project. I mean, I've never actually done historical filmmaking before. I'm actually known for murder and music.
Right.
did the Metallica documentary, and I've done some films about some pretty grisly murder cases. But, you know, they came to me, and just the very fact that the History Channel came to me wanting me to sort of help curate the series suggested to me that they wanted to try to break the mold and do something a little different. So, yeah, I looked into it, and it seemed like a really interesting opportunity, and they wanted me to help corral, 10 independent filmmakers who had never worked for the History Channel before to sort of bring a new perspective to historical filmmaking. Yeah.
And it seems like right now not a bad time to be making documentaries because there's more outlets than ever before, right?
It's amazing. I've been in this business for 15 years. When Bruce Sinofsky and I made Brothers Keeper back in '92, we couldn't get arrested in terms of getting that movie distributed, so we actually did it ourselves. We, took a year off and schlepped film prints from movie theater to movie theater and got it seen. Now it's like a golden age for documentary makers. I mean, there's the garbage reality TV, but, the good thing about reality TV is it's just caused this explosion at all levels of documentary making. I mean, there was about 45 documentaries released theatrically last year, which is amazing. You know?
And it really is starting to become a big part of independent film, too. When you say independent film, because people who direct drama also will do a documentary now on the side.
Well, to be honest with you, it's my feeling that the documentary has actually become the true independent film.
Right.
Because Hollywood has sort of co-opted indie film as just another label, another genre. There are no independent film companies. By and large, I think Lionsgate is the last sort of independent big film company out there. But, in the old days, a company like Miramax would spend $3, $4, $5 million on an independent movie with a new director, independent director, a true independent vision. If the film grossed $5 or $6 million and then, recovered its investment on video, everyone would consider that a big success. Now, all the Hollywood studios have independent labels. All the independent companies have been bought, and so there's as much pressure to perform on the opening weekend among the independent films as there is, Hollywood blockbusters. Traditional Hollywood's in the $100 million, blockbuster movie business, and they let all their specialty divisions create independent films. So that has created a void where I think the documentary truly, in this day and age, is the true independent film of our era.
Yeah, I know. If you want to do an independent film now, you still have to get Jennifer Aniston. You got to go, you still need that, she's, on TV and is working for us.
Yeah, exactly.
The Paradise Lost stuff, what is all happening there? Because I heard you might do another one.
Yeah, actually, we did 2 films. I've been working on this story since '93. The original film covered the first film covered the miscarriage of justice that originally happened, where these 3 teenagers were falsely accused and then convicted of this ridiculous, because they wore black T-shirts and listened to Metallica, they must be baby killers mentality. And then we made Revelations Paradise Lost 2 in 2000, which was following the appeals process, which was equally ludicrous because the same judge who presided over the first case was the appeals judge, as if he's going to find fault with his original decision.
Right.
So only in Arkansas can the original appeals judge original trial judge be the appeals judge. And now Damien Eccles is basically in the final throes of whatever's going to happen to him. All of his appeals have been exhausted except the federal appeal. There's some new DNA testing that's happening, and we're going to follow the story to its conclusion. I hope the conclusion's a happy one where he becomes exonerated, but who the hell knows? It's just an incredible, miscarriage of justice.
Now, making the documentary yourself, though, you can't get involved. I mean, you're pulling for these guys, but do you feel like you still have to stand back and just kind of be the fair witness to what's happening, or do you feel more involved in that?
That's a good and interesting question. The first film was very much objective, an objective presentation where we showed both sides of the story. Well, I should say, generally speaking, when I make a documentary, I feel like you need to be objective, or at least present both sides of the story and give the illusion of objectivity. That was the method we used in Paradise Lost, the original. In the sequel, 5 years later, I was so blown away by the fact that nothing had happened, that these guys were still rotting in jail. That film is much more of an advocacy film. That film, we sort of bang the point of view over people's heads that this is just not right. So, you know, when you start getting drawn into the story yourself emotionally and you really care about the case, you know, and Michael Moore, of course, has popularized that and made it very acceptable as a genre to bang a point of view over people's heads, and make it very clear where it's agit-prop filmmaking.
Right.
And there's a place for that. You know, it's a little bit... that's a little bit in conflict with my creative philosophy that the best way to make a documentary is to let it unfold before the viewer without narration and let the viewer decide what they're watching. But you know, when someone's rotting on death row for 13 years for something he didn't do, you gotta step up and present your point of view.
Filmmaker Joe Berlinger's in the studio. His latest project, 10 Days That Unexpectedly Changed America, that debuts April 9th on the History Channel.
Now, your Metallica project, Some Kind of Monster, I'm always curious about this. Is there a certain point where the people just become okay with the cameras? Like, are your first couple of days when you're doing something like following the band around, are they looking at the cameras, or do you feel like they could be acting and then sooner or later they get used to it, or does it happen much quicker?
Another good question. You know, it varies. Metallica was an interesting case. I actually think sometimes the camera is obviously just a neutral observer of reality. Sometimes people mug and perform for the camera.
Right.
And you hope that doesn't happen too much, or at the very least, you hope if people are performing for the camera, the audience is savvy enough to understand that there's performance going on, and that in and of itself is revealing something about people. With Metallica, it was really interesting because, I think they really welcomed the cameras, and I think the therapy would not have worked if it wasn't filmed. Lars has even said to me many times that he felt that the cameras were like a truth serum. The fact that filmmakers were in the room, who they knew, Metallica was very generous with us on Paradise Lost and gave us a lot of the music for that film. So that's how we ended up in their therapy sessions, is that we had a friendship with the band over Paradise Lost. And because the cameras were in the room, Lars often said that it made them be honest with each other instead of just telling each other to fuck off and walking out of the room. The fact that filmmakers who they trusted were there documenting it sort of made them have to go deeper and confront each other, almost like they were talking to each other through the cameras. So in the Metallica film, I think the cameras actually were like an active participant in the drama, which of course raises a great philosophical and ethical issue. You know, when you make a film, you don't want to change what you're filming by observing it.
Right.
But I think in the case of the Metallica film, that's sort of what happened. And
I guess in a group too, because it's like an historical event for the people who care about that group, that they've gotten to a certain point. You know, some people could go, I wish we would have had this for different groups throughout the world. I mean, there are core people that's huge interest of. And to see those guys kind of break apart, come back together, it's a really, really strange trip, I think, that you go on with them. Like, you don't know whether you're pulling for them, whether you're not, and you kind of become as confused as they are about the whole deal.
Yeah, no, it was a fascinating experience for us. I mean, interestingly, at the time, I was having a bit of a crisis in my own life. I had just come off of, when that film started in early 2001, I had come off of directing one of the biggest bombs in cinema history, which was Blair Witch 2,
right,
which got really horrible reviews, and I got my ass totally kicked on that movie, and I was feeling, very low, and really, I was hitting 40, like Metallica was hitting 40. I was questioning everything. I was, and to sit there in those therapy rooms listening to these guys work out their issues was in many ways very inspiring. On the other hand, this fucking Metallica,
right,
and here are these guys whose very image, these are the icons of macho aggression, whose musical image is all about, being tough guys, and here they were all getting, soft with a psychotherapist. It was weird. It was weird, but interesting and inspiring at the same time.
And then the therapist starts to get a bit confused about his own role, and it was just, I couldn't get over the early parts of it. I'm going with Lars's artwork that was sitting behind him. I'm like, wait a minute, is that a Basquiat there? And I'm like, how does he leave the house knowing that his artwork is worth more money than the house? How, what kind of security system? It is a really strange world where those guys, they may seem like they're in sneakers and t-shirts and that is their personality. But this stuff is also a huge corporation at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, it wasn't their idea to bring the shrink in. There were a lot of people who depend on Metallica, the corporation existing, and that's, they didn't want to see that machine break up, so they brought the shrink in. These guys have been famous and rich since they're, 17, 18 years old. I respect the fact that they wanted to work through that process. Most bands don't make it past that breaking point.
Sure.
And the fact that they worked through it, the fact that Hetfield got sober and still is sober and dealt with it is, there's a lot to admire.
Yeah, that was the other cool thing. Of seeing them go through this stuff and you make your own judgments, and then there at the end of the film you see all, a stadium full of people, and you go, fuck, that's right, man.
Yeah, these aren't just regular guys, man. These guys can walk into Tokyo, Berlin, Amsterdam, you name the city, Rio, and have 100,000 screaming fans show up, and it's got to warp you,
Joe Berlinger's here talking about his film, Some Kind of Monster in Paradise Lost, and his new project, 10 Days That Unexpectedly Changed America, on the History Channel, starting April 9th and running through the 13th.
Who picked the 10 days? Was that you or each person?
The History Channel came to me and said, we'd like to do this series and we'd like to, do something a little different. And so we convened a group of historians, prominent historians, and the mandate was, look, let's not pick the 10 most important days because that's debatable. Let's not pick days that have been done to death on the History Channel and elsewhere, like the Declaration of Independence and Pearl Harbor. Let's pick cool, interesting stories and go out and get some of the best independent filmmakers. And in fact, I have never done a historical film before, and I recommended to the History Channel that they, that the whole roster of filmmakers be filmmakers that have either never done a history film before or at least have never worked for the History Channel. Not that, the History Channel does terrific programming, but I just wanted to bring some fresh blood, into the equation. So we really, the most important thing were to pick days that have some unexpected aspect to them. Some a day you might have heard of, but you didn't think it was important. For example, I did this great story of McKinley's assassination. We barely remember there was even a president named McKinley, let alone that he was a very popular two-term president who was assassinated in 1901 at the height of his popularity in Buffalo at the Pan American Exposition, which was the World's Fair, and that his assassination led to the ascendancy of Teddy Roosevelt as president, who never would have become president without the assassination of McKinley. And because he became president, fundamental changes in American history took place. McKinley, much like Bush, was a big supporter of big business. This was coming at the end of the industrial era. There was a huge disparity between rich and poor, and all these progressive concerns were not being listened to by his administration. Teddy Roosevelt comes along, becomes president through an assassin's bullet, and it has a sympathetic ear towards progressive needs and tried to address some of the inequities of rich and poor. So the days all involve things that you might not know about. Antietam, Michael Epstein, the filmmaker Michael Epstein, did a great show on the battle at Antietam, which was the bloodiest battle in Civil War in American history, let alone the Civil War. And out of that, most people think that the Civil War was about slavery. The slavery issue didn't come until late into the war, and because of the Battle of Antietam, it empowered Lincoln to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. So it's just, we wanted to pick interesting days that have some aspect of it that has not been done to death before.
When you look back over this, does government pretty much run the same? Do you feel does it seem like we keep running through these little dramas over and over?
It's shocking how history repeats itself, and the most interesting thing to me about this series, because this was not by design, we picked interesting days that had some fundamental shift, and then about midway through the process, when rough cuts started coming in, and we were looking at the rough cuts, it occurred to me that, wow, all of these days are about violent events, that American history turns on violence, and change happens at the end of a sword, and that was a big moment for me when realizing that.
No, do you think that's pretty much true of the world, or do you think that's somewhat uniquely American?
Well, I think I think unfortunately it's true of humanity, but I think one thing that's I love America. It's a great place to be. I've been all over the world. I wouldn't want to be any place else. However, I think Americans are really naive about our own history. Specifically, I mean, we're a country that's founded on land grabs, genocide.
Tony Soprano's. It really is the Tony Soprano. If he just had a little more understanding of how government works, would be the perfect personality.
Yeah, I mean, this is a country founded on slavery, genocide, and land grabs, and I think we need to accept and recognize that.
Why do you think we won't? Because the way we were indoctrinated as kids. I mean, when I look back on it now, I'm like, because the stuff, the kind of those historical documentaries that we watched as kids are much different than the ones that we watch as adults. The stuff that they ran past us at school that kind of had us hating documentaries at a very early age.
Like a spoonful of castor oil.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, documentaries, luckily, I think people should, are going to be learning more these days because documentaries are much more accepted. But I think basically because we have it so good here, nobody wants to look, negativity in the face. I think we're a little spoiled, a little fat as a nation,
Nobody wants to know exactly how their sneakers are made because then you can't enjoy it as much. I feel the same way some days.
Exactly. I'm making a film in Ecuador right now where Chevron Texaco has decimated the rainforest through very negligent oil drilling practices. I think if Americans knew that their $60 worth of SUV gasoline has this effect on other people in other parts of the world, you might think twice about the kind of vehicle you drive.
But I was always curious about this. I mean, the corporations are people not unlike us, right? Why don't they somehow see it? Is it because the corporation gets too big for them to say, hey, what are we doing here? Or is it just about profit?
Well, it's about profit, and it's about, the sum being greater than the parts. At a certain point, the train leaves the station, and this big machine is moving along on its path to profitability. And sometimes you just can't hold people accountable, and people often don't want to look reality in the face. I mean, it amazes me that just getting back to Paradise Lost. I mean, it's so abundantly obvious that these kids are not guilty. It amazes me that the original judge and the prosecutors and the police in this case, how do these guys go to bed at night? I mean, they've convinced themselves that the right people are in jail. I don't think they knowingly, say to themselves, oh, we got the wrong people and I'm just going to hide it. I think they've just convinced themselves. And that's the scary part, is that human beings are very capable of hiding behind, some manufactured reality.
Yeah, it is interesting, too, because you're right. Evil never looks the way they showed us in movies. It's really more done about a guy who's just not thinking, more than,
Without question. I mean, evil is not big scary monsters. Evil is the pedophilic priest living next door who's, going to go fondle your kid. I mean, that's evil, and that's unfortunately the reality of the world we live in.
Joe, thanks for being in today.
Joe Berlinger, check out 10 Days That Unexpectedly Changed America on the History Channel starting April 9th.
Thanks for coming by.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Joe.
Cool.
Ron and Fez, XM 202. Tonight on the Discovery Channel, it's a paranormal trip through time on the Discovery special, Ronaldo, the man who can see into the past.
One day, a machine will take pictures of the human body inside. I call these pictures X-rays.
Ronaldo, the man who can see into the past. Nothing escapes his incredible hindsight.
Crime, drug addiction, pornography, armed robbery. Beware the cast of different strokes.
With predictions of the past so clear, you'd swear they were taken right from the newspaper.
Postage stamps will cost 37 cents. Expect 39 cents to soon follow.
He is Ronaldo, the man who can see into the past. How does he do it? Master of the obvious or master of some unknown power that we cannot begin to understand?
I see two brothers, Wilbur and Orville. They are flying. How can this be? How can this be?
Watch as Ronaldo stakes his reputation on his uncanny accuracy.
One sad, sad, sad day in America. Slavery will be abolished.
Join us tonight on the Discovery Channel and decide for yourself on Ronaldo, the man who can see into the past.
A one-armed drummer? What does the name Def Leppard mean? I grow so tired. The portal to the past is closed.
The Discovery Channel. Entertain your brain.
Ron and Fez show. Earl, we got to make a documentary film, and we got actually another documentary filmmaker coming in today, don't we?
Yes, we have the filmmakers from who made Loud, Quiet, Loud, a film about the Pixies.
Well, I want to make a documentary film about you, and I'm just going to follow you around. Hold on, I got to take a call.
So, Earl, we're going to need you to do interesting stuff that we can follow you with.
Yeah, I can do that.
Kill somebody or pimp stuff. Do something cool.
Get chased by the cops.
Anything.
Maybe you could do one of those countdown to lockdown like Little Kim.
You know, you're the only person that's ever brought that up, Fez. I never saw it promoted anywhere else.
I saw it. I saw one billboard for it on the side of a bus.
But it ran already, right? Like months ago?
Yeah, I think it was already on. Yeah, because I think it was only like a 6-episode deal. And I know in the promo picture she was sporting some sort of arm tattoo to make it look like she was ready for prison.
I'd like to do something important with my life for a change. Not just work on the radio. Some kind of documentary, winning awards, getting people out of jail. Hey, what's going on with the New Jersey Nets now? They still on the streak?
13 straight.
13 straight. Earl, let me ask you this. Why don't you ever hear the name Jason Kidd when people are bringing stuff up?
I don't know. I think it's not to...
He didn't even make the All-Star team this year, right?
I believe not, no. But, I mean, not to disrespect the state of New Jersey. I think it's the fact that they play in New Jersey.
Oh, come on.
No, I mean...
When a team wins, it doesn't matter where they win from.
No, but this team is a perennial playoff team. But
are you telling me a lot of people cared about San Diego? No, they're paying attention to the who's ever winning.
No, but here's a perennial playoff team, and they've always had trouble selling out playoff games. An NBA playoff game, they have trouble selling the games out.
All right, Eastside is a big fan. Come on in here, Eastside. What the hell's going on with your Nets? Why won't people get involved with them?
You know, they live... The worst thing about the Nets, and I love the Nets passionately, but...
When did you start loving the Nets? 5 games into this 13?
Drazen Petrovic, baby, the Croatian wonder. One of the great basketball shooters of all time. And he died of a car accident in the early 90s. But I think people don't like it because the Meadowlands it's just nowhere. It really is a Jersey swamp.
But why the whole country? They don't care one way or another.
But, you know, if you're not from anywhere, you have no identity. People, you know, New York City, Boston.
But if you win 13 games, you should be able to... People should... straight, like they're doing. And they're really winning fun, and it's a pretty exciting team. And for some reason, no one gives a fuck. They should be, if they were traveling around in Winnebagos, people should be following that team.
Does Jason Kidd need some bad press, like a rape accusation or choke a coach?
He had some a couple years ago, didn't he?
Yeah. On Phoenix, there was a little thing with him maybe shoving his wife around a little
Whatever.
bit. We don't talk about
so
that.
he's had that angle, Fez. It's not that he's a dull guy. No one ever thought that. Not a dull player. He's pretty flashy.
And Vince Carter is great.
Vince Carter is another wild man, too.
And he didn't even make the starting All-Star team this year, and that pissed everybody off. It was ridiculous. I mean, he made the team.
Yeah, I'm furious. I'm not going to lie to you. You know I've been a Nets fan since I found out they were on this streak. I'm pulling from the go all the way this year. Who did I pick in the beginning of the year, Earl?
I believe you picked Detroit.
No, I picked the Nets.
The Nets.
I picked the Nets. What, do you remember?
I do remember. You picked your team.
Hey,
you picked the Sixers.
Yeah, I know. It's
crazy.
Just like I picked the Phillies to win everything. Just stupid.
Well, you know what?
It just seemed like they were going to.
AI's averaging, I believe, either 31 or 33 points a game this year.
33.
So he's having a monster year, but
some kind of monster. Like I was just saying to Joe Berenger, I said, if you want to do something people care about, follow Allen Iverson around with that camera of yours.
That would be one of the best documentaries ever.
Rockumentary. He's going to do it as a rockumentary.
That would be a great rockumentary.
It's going to be part rock. Joe, you're on Ron and Fez.
Buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Go ahead, Joe.
So, Dave, you say that the Meadowlands is the reason that the Nets don't get attention?
Yeah, because it's not like, you can't say I'm from South Bronx. I'm in the Bronx. I'm in Flushing.
You're just nowhere.
Yeah, you are nowhere.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the Meadowlands itself, Giant Stadium, and the arena are probably the most accessible area in New Jersey. You got 3 major highways going in there. You got
That's not accessible.
That's not a place to live. 3 major highways.
But, dude,
that's...
Oh, absolutely no one lives there. Teterboro, the next town over, has a population of, like, 21.
That's what he's talking about. He's not saying it's tough to get to. He's saying it doesn't have any of its own culture.
Yeah, and you don't have like a in other words, you can't go to a look, Giants are my favorite football and Nets are my favorite basketball, but you can't go to a game and then go to the bar across the street after the thing. There's nowhere you can piss in a very dirty lake.
Yeah, it's not like you have a Wrigleyville hanging around there. You're not going to have people going, "Oh, I remember walking down to the game." There's something to be said about that.
And there's no trains, there's no subways. If you don't have a car, how are you supposed to get to the Nets?
How about a parachute? Here's Bill, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Meadowlands. When you go there, it takes 2 hours to get out after the game.
Right, because everyone has to drive there. No one can, get a train out of the
It's
place.
pretty much like that at every stadium in the country, though, that you kind of now are on the outskirts of town, but they don't even have a town that they're on the outskirts of. It's not like... You're like, oh, we're right outside the city. There's no city as the center of New Jersey.
It's the Turnpike. If the Turnpike's a city, then what a great city the Meadowlands is. But it's
the county Nets.
And it's
Diesel, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yo, Ronnie, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey, Fez, how you doing?
Good, buddy. What can we do for you?
The reason why there's nobody ever going to Nets games, have you ever been to a Nets game, either one of you guys?
No.
I have.
I refuse.
Several.
Nope.
Okay. Then what the hell is up with all the playing of the kids' games in the middle of the game? They got like some cute little cartoon thing on the screen. They got little.
Well, they do that at every arena now. It's the stupid kissing game. It's some kind of a tricycle race. It's stupid.
But again, it's anything to get people in the...
Because everybody that lives in the Jersey area grew up a Knicks fan when the Knicks were relevant. So nobody wants to show up and go to the Meadowlands and see a team that nobody gives a crap about.
Well, let's move them to Brooklyn then. Brooklyn wants them.
No.
Brooklyn does want them.
I know.
And they want to go to Brooklyn. I heard Jay-Z was going, he said like, oh, wait, they want to be there. I don't know how he's coming up with these numbers, but he wants out.
Like a really good friend of mine works for the Nets. They do anything to get people into the arena. I mean, they gave away...
They had crack night not too long ago. That's crazy to me.
No, I went to a game. They get because obviously it's the Continental Airlines Arena. They gave away a prize where you can fly anywhere, anytime for a year for free on Continental. They're giving this stuff away. They're giving away cars.
Jersey.
Hey, Paint Gun, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
I think the bigger problem is that the NBA just doesn't have heat right now. It's really been big when Jordan was big and Larry and Michael were big. The Nets used to play the fucking T-Neck Armory, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. I don't know. How's the NBA doing overall? They sell out everywhere, right? Just about?
Yeah, the arena, some attendance is down. The ratings are definitely down. They're way down. But the teams still do very well individually and collectively.
Yeah, it's a great, great sport. But when you don't have the Michael Jordan, and the reason why Michael Jordan was such a big deal was because he was more than just a player. He was, this personality. Everybody liked him. Everybody talked about him. You got to expect that to be down a little bit, but the game hasn't changed.
They used to move, like when NBC carried the games, they used to move games to prime time.
Right.
Because that's how big the audience was, and they would get those numbers. Because
housewives wanted to watch Jordan. And guys that really weren't basketball fans, they wanted to sit there wearing their Jordan sneakers and watch them.
Yeah, they definitely Jordan brought in like a real casual fan into the game.
Right.
But, baseball doesn't really have that Michael Jordan guy, and they still do well. And
they don't have national games that do well. It's the same situation. They are a local sport. But people, if you're sitting at home now, right, like let's say you're in Alabama, and the San Francisco, San Diego football game is on, you will watch that, not being a fan of either team. You're not going to do that with baseball. You're not going to watch a Giants-Padres game when you're living in Alabama. You just have your one game. One of the problems there is that so many of these things you've got to, if you have a team in baseball, you got to follow 162 games. You don't have time to do that with all the different teams.
Like, I remember when in '78 when Pete Rose was going after the DiMaggio record, they used to cut 44. They used to cut in on network TV for his at-bats. Jimmy Rollins right now is chasing DiMaggio's record.
Is he really, though?
No.
The fact that it's over 2 seasons, that's the problem.
He's not.
It's not the same thing. When you have a record like that, it has to take place all in 1 year. It'll be a great accomplishment if he gets the National League record. First of all, neither one of these guys really chased DiMaggio. They were still pretty damn far away.
Yeah, they were still way off. It was like Rose, as much attention as he got, he was still 12 games off.
Yeah, 12 games is unbelievable. To go on a 12-game streak from 0 to 12 is having a phenomenal time. To go from 44 to whatever, 56, that's insane. But, Rollins, do you feel like that's the streak for you?
No, because they did the same thing to Tiger. That's why they call it the Tiger Slam. He won 2, majors in one season. The season ended, then the next season started, and he won the next 2, so he won 4 in a row. But it wasn't an actual Grand Slam. You have to do it in one season.
Right.
And that's
still an incredible accomplishment.
It's
still phenomenal. But it's not doing it all in one season.
And you can call it like the Rollins streak or something. If it's the Tiger Slam, you can call it the Rollins streak. Do something like that. But it's not a real Joe D thing.
Well, let me tell you. Rob Dibble, he was crying at me the other day because he thought I was being hard on baseball. But you got to admit, the old records don't matter as much as they used to, particularly the home run records, which if you were growing up a kid at one time, you would read all the records, you would know every record out there, you were crazy about stats. Now you don't see that anymore because you can't compare eras. You can't compare the pre-drug era with the drug era.
Well, this era, when you really think about it, is so cartoonish. For Roger Maris to hit 61 home runs in 1961 and then go decades without people even touching
close,
it.
Yeah.
And then
50 would be a big deal.
And then a few years ago, Sammy Sosa gets 60 home runs plus 3 consecutive years.
And doesn't win the crown.
That's fucking Nintendo baseball.
Right.
That doesn't happen in real life, flesh and blood baseball. They should just go back to Roger Maris's record.
But Deborah was acting like I was fucking making it up. Like I invented a word steroid and came up with it.
Well, you also got to remember that for a long time, like sports medicine was way behind the curve. Players couldn't even afford to train year-round.
But that's why you really can't compare one era to the other like you used to. In the 70s, 60s, and 70s, even 80s, you would still compare back to Babe Ruth records. You don't even do that anymore. You fucking can't because it became a whole different deal. Dave, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies. I got a problem with the Jimmy Rollins and 2 season things, man.
Joe DiMaggio did in 56 consecutive games. I mean, that's how you got to look at it. If Jimmy Rollins beats it, if he beats it, he'll do it in 57 consecutive games. It doesn't matter about 2 seasons or 1.
It will be a phenomenal accomplishment. There's no doubt about it. And first of all, we're only sitting here talking about it because it can't happen. It will not happen. It's just too big to do now.
I mean,
but it would still not be the same thing as doing it one season.
No. I'll cut off my leg if it happens.
I mean, if you consider
Now I'm rooting for it.
It's got to be harder doing it over 2. I mean,
No, let's take it this way. The Miami Dolphins, the 72 Dolphins, those old bastards that still are bragging to this day. The reason that matters is because it happened all in one season. That big, perfect season. That's the beauty of it.
Hey, I mean, I see your point.
Yeah. Here is Kit. Kit, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hello.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Hey, just to mirror what that guy said, I think it's tougher over 2 seasons because the guy has a whole off season and he's so, not fresh and sharp and, going on a roll. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it's 1 season, but I think it's tougher going through 2 seasons, starting off fresh like that.
It may even in some ways be tougher, but the fact is, it's not the same thing as it's not a streak. It's not in a row. The streak has been broken by the off season.
Well, the argument you can make for DiMaggio was over the course of those 56 straight games, the heat was on him all the time. He was a national phenomenon. Rollins got 3 months off to just let the heat die down a little bit.
Right.
He wasn't the big story.
And, he, like you said before, he has not fallen into even where Pete Rose was when everybody's talking about it.
And the more I think about it, if you have like a record that goes over 2 seasons, then when do you stop? I mean, if a guy hits 30 home runs in 100 games in like 2005, and then he hits 60 home runs in 62 games in 2006, it's 162 games, so now you're just combining all the stats.
Did you just say he had 60 home runs in 62 games?
Okay.
What are you talking about? Seriously, get away from me.
But mathematical
You
skills.
can't talk craziness.
But do you know what I mean?
If a guy hits 60 home runs in 62 games, I'm going to vote for him to be president. I don't give a shit how many drugs he's taken. He's the best ball player who's ever lived. 60 and 62.
Shit.
What are we talking about? Godzilla? Joe, you're on Ron and Fez.
What's up, buddies?
Hey, buddy.
Fezzy.
Buddy.
All right, here's my thing. I agree with you guys 100%. The Jimmy Rollins thing, I think, is bullshit. Yes, it's a great accomplishment. I shouldn't say bullshit. I'll correct myself. It is a great accomplishment, Ronnie. You're right. But you're right in the same token where the guy's had to, he's had the whole entire off season to rest his body. Unlike DiMaggio, who did it in 1 season, broke it, and that was it. This guy, Jimmy Rollins, it's a lot of hype, what's going on, but I'm with you guys, man. 2 seasons, it's not going to mean as much as 1 season.
All right, thank you very much.
You know what's even more amazing when you really think about it, too? Joe D, after the streak ended, he went on a 19-game hitting streak, so he got 75 out of 76.
When it ended, he came home, found out that Sinatra and Kennedy were having a fucking three-way with his wife, went back and hit another 19.
Not a very nice guy, Joe D.
What is that based on? Who cares about that?
His number of hits.
I fucking hate when people say he's not a good guy.
I met DiMaggio. He could not have been a sweeter guy. Pure gentleman.
I saw him at Dinky Donuts. He's a fucking dunker. What is your whole thing about if somebody's nice or not?
I've read a story about Joe DiMaggio where he was at the airport and a girl goes up to him and says, "Can I have your autograph?" And he says, quote, "You're too ugly to give an autograph to."
What has that got to do with anything?
Why would you say that to somebody?
He just wants to get rid of this fucking brat. The guy is a legend. Why do you need somebody to go out, have a great game for you, win a championship for you, and then somehow come home and be Mr. Peepers? I hate that angle. I don't give a shit about it.
People should be pleasant, and that's why you should root for them.
You're not pleasant. You're annoying. You're too overbearing. I'm gonna do the only way I'm gonna rate you is on your ventriloquism. Nothing else matters to me. If you're a good ventriloquist, I don't care how you treat Bronx Johnny. Here's Screen Door. Screen Door, you're on Ron and Fez. How are you?
I think Dave's come off racist with this thing because to say that J-Ro is not on par with DiMaggio. It's just foolhardy. Joe D never hit against one African-American or one Latino-American pitcher in his time. Those pre-Jackie Robinson segregation days.
All right, thank you very much. What do you say to that, Dave? A lot of these things talk about some easy fucking play where you don't have to play against Latins or blacks. That's like, basically, Joe DiMaggio played in a beer softball league. Underhand fucking control pitch.
My response is, I don't know why that caller was doing a bad Satchel Paige impression.
That doesn't matter.
J-Ro.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Forget the way he says it. Try to focus on what the man says.
I don't look at race in my sports at all. I'm all about the whites and the blacks.
You want to put an asterisk next to every black player's name.
Maybe a small one.
I just want to put one next to their houses so people know. And I'll leave it at that. And gays. And, of course, Jews. Scott, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, guys. I don't think Jimmy Rollins will get it, but if he does, I think it's more impressive because he had to get hot twice, where Joe DiMaggio had to get hot once. Plus, Jimmy Rollins doesn't get to see the same pitcher for 4 at-bats like Joe DiMaggio used to do. We got middle relievers, you got closers, you got your second middle reliever, and he's facing probably 2 to 3 different pitchers every night, where Joe D got to hit off the same pitcher 4 times, and by the end of the game, the guy's throwing, 82.
We really are at a point where you can't compare the eras anymore. It's like comparing football, where it just doesn't make sense to do it. Earl, where would you say the modern era started in baseball?
I would probably start with Ruth.
No. I'm going to go beyond that. Ruth is, obviously, we used to use Ruth, because then, you had the fucking Civil War records. The Cy Young Civil War records.
Guys with 65 wins.
Yeah.
Striking out 500 guys.
How many Cy Young had, 500 fucking wins?
511.
Yeah.
And 300 losses. So he was pitching like every day for his 10-year career.
Pitching or throwing? It was more than he just chucked. He really didn't pitch. Where would you say it started?
Without question,
I say the 93 Phils. I think you really got to go back to that team of the mullet, when the mullet was flying, that you had to say, yeah, it makes sense to me now.
Well, to prove I'm not racist, and actually I believe this, I would probably say 1950 flat, because you had the blacks in, and that kind of did make it, more modern. I mean, if you're excluding a population, it probably wasn't modern baseball, so.
The blacks came into the league in 47.
It took him 3 years to really get up and running, he's saying. Yeah. Let's face it. There were, but there weren't many. All right, where would you say the modern era football started, Fez?
I would say that is Super Bowl, the Joe Namath Super Bowl. Is that 69. Super Bowl 3, 69?
So you don't really even consider any of the 1960s players. To you, Gale Sayers didn't play in modern times.
Right, yeah. I'm going to start it there.
Earl, what about for you?
I would probably say it started around Unitas when they started to air it out.
Which was, 60,
late
58?
Mid-50s.
Yeah.
Probably Joe Montana's Super Bowl against...
So you don't, seriously, no, you're being serious now.
Yeah.
You don't consider the Steel Curtain of the 70s to be a modern fucking team?
No, those plays were weird, guys. It didn't make a lot of sense. Terry Bradshaw wouldn't throw for 20 touchdowns if he played right now.
He didn't then.
You know how many? You know how many guys?
I don't know how much you keep up with the game, but he didn't throw a lot then.
You know how many guys from those Steel Curtain teams are in the Football Hall of Fame? Almost all of them.
Yeah, it should almost be called the Steelers Hall of Fame. Here's Greg. Greg, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, guys. Can I suggest to Dave that whenever he's going to go out on a limb for some of these comments, maybe he does it through the puppet?
All right, yeah, let's go with that. What's your puppet's name today?
Roberto.
All right, Roberto is the only one that will really talk to today. Roberto will give his opinions for this point on. Basketball, when did the modern era start for you, Fez?
I'm going to say Lou Alcindor.
So not the great Celtics teams of the 60s?
No.
I was going to say Celtics, starting with the Red Auerbach era.
Yeah, I think you got to say the Red Auerbach era as the definitive place where it started. What about for you, Puppet? Where would you say the modern era started?
I believe it probably started with Spud Webb and the Atlanta Hawks.
See, now he's trying to be funny rather than trying to give us any points, though. Here's Mike. Mike, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Mike, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, how's it going? Esai convinced me that the streak is legit.
Yeah.
He said that
you know, if you hit home runs over the course of 2 separate seasons,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't work because that's a single season home run record, and this is just a consecutive game hitting streak.
Yeah, but what he's trying to say is he's confused. That's the main thing about it. Sean, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, just to echo what Mike just said. Baseball keeps 2 different records: single season streak and a consecutive game streak.
Right. So you're saying
they happen to be the same streak right now because 56 is insane.
You're in Philly right now, right?
Yeah.
Are the people pumped up yet for Rollins or no?
You saw them stuck around in that miserable opener, didn't they?
Yeah. So you're saying they're there for him, right?
They're far more behind Jimmy than they are behind the team right now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. I mean, that's something that I've done many times in the baseball. Like when you know that you're 20, 30 games out, you can still find like I'm fucking pulling for this guy to go to the All-Star game. I'm looking for him to, you know, get 100 RBIs. You got to find something to keep your season alive.
When the Yankees stunk in the early '90s, it was Mattingly was going for the Grand Slam record. That was the only reason to watch the game. It was just let's see if they can load him up for Donnie Baseball. That was the only reason.
And he got that Grand Slam record. 6 Grand Slams in 1987. A major league record.
What's his name, Fez?
Roberto.
Yeah, Roberto, who doesn't really have an Italian or Spanish accent. Still goes, back to the same thing. Howdy-ho. Taylor, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, I unfortunately, now that I've heard him talking, agree with Eastside Dave about the whole 2-season split thing. I understand baseball keeps 2 types of records.
Right.
But say, like in the NFL, you got an NFL team who only wins their last 8 games one season, then wins the first 8 of the next. That's 2, half-and-half seasons, and now they've got 16 straight wins.
Didn't something happen with that with the Patriots a couple years ago? Didn't they pull that off? How many?
I think the 19-game winning streak.
Is that the longest of all time?
I think so, yeah.
And you can't compare that record with the 72 Dolphins. That's the important one. That's the one everybody cares about. It just is. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm not even saying one team is better than the other. Here is Paul. Paul, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, the three-point line in basketball, that's exactly when the modern era started.
All right, what year is that?
I don't know. I think it was like 67, 68. I don't even remember, but that just spread out the offense better, so the guards got more points. And,
I would probably even go to the shot clock more than that, though. I think the shot clock changed the game of basketball more than anything else. Because they used to fucking sit on the ball and literally, like football, try to run the timeout.
All right, I think it was that famous game where Villanova won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, it was either that or NC State on the air ball.
Yeah.
People forgot they sat on that ball for like 6.5 minutes because there was no shot clock.
Well, there used to be teams that would attempt it right from the word go, and you would have games that would be like 7-6. So they had to fucking come up with something because it was a definitive way of playing.
Some people think modern basketball started with Dr. J, who was the first guy to
Roberto, you use a different accent every time you talk. There's no consistency whatsoever.
What happened to you, Roberto?
I need some sore throat lozenges. Make my voice high. There we go. And Dr. J would utilize dunks for strategy, not just to look good.
Here, I don't even understand what he means there. Here's Chris, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Miss Puff Friction Fez.
Me too.
Hey, I want to ask Fez Marie, when did the modern era of professional wrestling begin?
I would say the modern era started with Hogan.
See, there's still an era that came out of it after that, though, the Stone Cold, EC Dub era that's really, in a lot of ways, more modern than that whole Hogan stuff, which now you couldn't even watch any of those old shows.
Oh, no, because that was, in that era, it was squash matches for the most part until they finally got around to start having pay-per-views.
Yeah, so I don't see that really as being modern. It's almost like with basketball. If you're watching a classic basketball game, if it seems nutty to you, that it's not the modern era. And that's why I know you love Babe Ruth. Earl, but I just can't even imagine a guy who looks and walks like that even being able to play in today's game. I don't see it happening.
Well, David Wells is very tall and very fat, and he's kind of has Ruth proportions.
Do you see him hitting 60 home runs a year?
No.
You see him playing every day?
He did make the All-Star team over 4 times.
As a pitcher, it's a whole different thing. Here's Mike. You're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, buddies.
Yeah.
Listen, I can see Dave's lips moving.
His ass lips is what's moving with this bad fucking character. Here's Chad. You're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, this Roberto sounds like Star Jones Reynolds when she did that Books on Tape.
Oh, yeah, it is kind of one of the Star... Let's listen to the Star Jones Reynolds Books on Tape. What was that all about, Fez?
That was Star Jones doing her autobiography called Shine.
Now, I saw Rosie O'Donnell just ripping Star Jones the other night on TV, saying, why does she act like she lost 200 pounds with Pleiades or whatever that thing is? Why can't she admit she's had the gastric bypass? And then she's going, why won't the other comics stand up to her and demand that she tells the truth?
Yeah, she was furious. I guess there was something on The View where Nabisco was the sponsor and they had a plate of Oreos, and Star said she was only going to have one because of her self-control. And she was furious with Star saying that, not saying, hey, because I'm stapled off, and furious with Joy Behar for not calling her on it.
Here's some Star Jones.
Shine by Star Jones Reynolds. Chapter 30. Time to get stapled. The days are counting down until my stomach's stapling. I am so nervous. They say 1 out of every 500 die right there on the table. I always thought that if I was going to die on the table, it would be a table at Denny's. My new husband, Al Killer Reynolds, he's been very supportive. He even had me get a new life insurance policy in case something goes wrong. He cares so much for me. He insisted that I name him and his friend Chico, the Guatemalan towel boy from his men's club bathhouse, as a beneficiary. I have received some bad news, though, from my stapling doctor. He has informed me that the procedure will help me lose weight everywhere but in my head. So no matter how small my waist gets, my head will still be the size of a hot air balloon. And it may even make me look more bug-eyed. I told the doctor, I don't care if my head looks like a grapefruit sitting on top of a Twizzler. I want to be skinny. Side note, send Al out to get more Twizzlers. My goal is to get scary witch skinny like Miss Barbara Walters. She looks like someone put a pantsuit on an old Slim Jim, and that's what I want. Side note number 2, have Al pick up more Slim Jims. But once I'm skinny, I'm sure Al Killer Reynolds will break his vow of celibacy with me. He won't be able to resist my trim body with the head the size of the Kool-Aid Man. Are we out of Kool-Aid?
Star Jones Reynolds with her audiobook, Shine.
Anybody want to explain to me why we thought that was so hilarious when it happened? Isn't humor funny where it only takes a little time and you go, what the hell were we laughing about?
Yeah, it doesn't take long to move past it.
Hey, let's go on to Owen here. Owen, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Owen.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, your show's normally really informative and I learn a lot, but every time Eastside opens his mouth, I actually feel dumber.
Well, that's the point. We want to have some kind of balance here.
Yeah, but balance is one thing, but that's just, I can't even say.
Yeah, you are dumber. Yeah, when you can't put together a sentence, we're making people dumber, Dave. That's what we're doing. And I blame Roberto, really, more than Dave. Jack, you're on Ron and Fez.
2240.
Way to go, old school for us, home.
Hey, for wrestling, wouldn't you say that the advent of Georgia Championship Wrestling, so it was available on TV for everyone, was the start of the modern era?
You know, it was definitely the change of an era, but I don't see it as this modern era.
And with that, it kind of falls into the Hogan thing, because right about then is when the cable wrestling was really starting to get huge, where you were getting all the different leagues from around the country, and then Vince brought in Hogan to carry the mantle of his WWF.
I'm going to still stick with ECW, because you broke the kayfabe, you stopped the silliness, and it changed everything. Paulie, to me, ushered in the modern era. Does he get the money for it? No, Fezzy.
No.
You know why?
Why?
Creative doesn't matter. Creative doesn't matter. It's the breaks and the hype. That's what matters for you.
Yeah, and they just broke that third wall. They had the matches were a lot more crazier, no refs. It was just an anything goes type of attitude.
I like this new modern era game, though. We can sit around and talk about it constantly. Let me ask you this. When's the modern era of women? I say when they start to trim the bushes up. When they finally got away from that 70s and early 80s bush, we became into the modern era. Here is Jeff. Jeff, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, since you guys are talking sports, is Brett Favre going to retire?
Brett Favre retired 4 years ago. He still shows up for the games, and he still goes out there, but he is retired.
Did you hear Mark Chamora talking about Brett Favre?
No.
Very controversial stuff. Mark Chamora says Brett Favre is all about Brett Favre, and said he's very selfish. Brett Favre doesn't care about the team. Brett Favre only cares about Brett Favre.
Well, Roberto, he has a point there, because Brett Favre does seem to be taking a big swim in a lake called Brett Favre that he just loves.
He also didn't like that Brett Favre didn't show up for his trial. His trial, of course, was for banging an underage girl, so maybe Mark Chamora isn't a very reliable source.
So you're doing point-counterpoint with yourself, Roberto? Oh, Roberto.
Roberto's trying to smarten it up a little.
Andy, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
I know you wouldn't mind making a quick buck, right? I'll give you $100 if you set that puppet on fire.
All right, if I had the 100 in my hand, I would bash it, light it on fire, and chuck it out the window.
Please don't. I'm allergic to gasoline.
Let me explain something to you. I'll light a baby on fire for $100, so don't ask what I'll do to a puppet. Ziggy, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies, how we doing today? The modern era wrestling did start with Hogan, but I think the ECW is kind of like the XFL, the way they did that with football. That's my parallel.
Okay,
with
nobody's commenting?
Oh, I know.
Here is Will. Will, you're on the Ron and Fez show. Yeah, how are you, pal?
What's up, buddies?
Yeah.
Only time I want to hear Fezzy talk about the modern era wrestling is in a Ric Flair impersonation.
Whatever happened to that, Fez?
Haven't done the Nature Boy in quite some time.
Mark, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, what's up, buddies? I just wanted to say something about the modern era about wrestling, and I think it was like the D-Generation X, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart.
Where did they get that act from?
The Canadian wrestlers against
hold on,
D-Generation
Mark.
X.
Mark, where did they get that act from, though? That's when they started to copy the ECW style, right?
But the ECW, it's just like no one really got into it. It wasn't really that popular.
If you didn't have the ECW, and I agree with you that most of the people out there did not, but if you didn't have the ECW, you wouldn't have had the DX act. It just never would have happened. That's where they got it from. All right, we're going to take a break here. Back in a couple of moments, Fezzy, talking about the Pixies.
Steve Cantor and Matthew Galkin, they'll be in studio talking about their film, Loud, Quiet, Loud, a film about the Pixies. You can check that out on stickfigureproductions.com. They'll be coming up next.
We'll be right back, Ron and Fez.
Outside we wait till face turns blue.
Ron and Fez show. Talking about the Pixies. Earl, of course, playing the WNEW hit. The only is this the only song by the Pixies WNEW would play?
Yes.
Or did they also play Debaser?
They played Debaser too.
Yeah. Mainstream rock. All right, a brand new documentary is out, Fez.
It's called Loud, Quiet, Loud, a film about the Pixies. The directors are here, Stephen Cantor and Matthew Galkin.
Welcome, guys.
Thanks. Good to be here.
How did you guys hook up with the Pixies? How did that happen right off the bat?
We heard they were getting back together, and we were actually the first thing we did was we were in my office and we got on the internet and we said, "Oh my God, Pixies are getting back together. We got to get tickets to the concert." And so we were
first thing was just being a regular fan.
We were regular fans, and then while we were buying the tickets, we looked at each other and said, "Wait a minute, we're filmmakers. We should try and make this film." And we contacted the manager, and he put us through this whole.
It's kind of interesting. Who did somebody else put them back together? Was it somebody from their group? I mean, it didn't seem like it came from the players in the band themselves, right?
No, it came from Charles Thompson.
Yeah. Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
Because I had the feeling it almost felt like it was okay with him, but he wasn't overly enthusiastic about it off stage.
I think they'd all reached a point in their careers where they were ready for the next thing.
The next thing to happen with the Pixies?
It was obvious that the Pixies were the biggest thing that had happened to any of them. They were now.
Now, one of the interesting things is it also felt in your film, which, by the way, the thing that I really loved about the film, and I don't know how you pulled it off, but the pacing of the film itself reminds me of a Pixies song. I don't know whether you did that in the editing and all, but it's like for most of a documentary film, it's kind of shot back a little bit. It's got almost like a Fargo look about it. And it's the players in the band are kind of strange to begin with, and then there's just a kind of strange feel to the whole film that's a little different. Was that done on purpose, or how do you pull that off?
Yeah, I think we were kind of conscious of that. I mean, we called the film Loud, Quiet, Loud, which is the type of music the Pixies were, famous for sort of creating. I'm not sure how much truth there is to that, but play it loud, then play it quiet for a while, and then play it loud again. And that's kind of how the tour was. When they got on stage, they were kind of this electrical chemistry and getting along, and they sounded better than ever, and then they'd get off stage and it was very quiet. And so we kind of edited and modeled our shooting and editing after that sort of.
I think we were very conscious also because they are a pretty cryptic band. I mean, they sort of went out of their way while they were a current band to stay cryptic and not do a lot of press, and there's not a lot of intimate material on that band. So when we started this process, we were very conscious to sort of not crack that egg that far and sort of just observe them as a band.
We just had Joe Berlinger in here a little while ago, and who did the Metallica thing, and I was asking him how much of a role for the people do the cameras play? Because in the term of like Frank Black, not that he doesn't have an ego, but he doesn't have an ego about his physical look or, it seems to be even where they're staying or whatever. So at the early parts of it, does it feel like they're paying attention to the cameras and they forget?
It's funny actually. Early on, he took me out to breakfast, and I think the main reason for the breakfast, he called the breakfast and sat me down, and the main thing he wanted to tell me was, we're not necessarily in the best shape, and don't make us look bad, and don't make me look fat. And I thought for sure we'd never see him with his shirt off, and
he stayed with his shirt off most of the time.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
Well, the other interesting thing was, it's not that they don't have egos. It's just not normal rock star egos. I mean, they're into their own. It looks like everybody wants their own strange little world that they get into. But the fact that it kind of, I guess, the success of their music caught them even a little bit by surprise in the opening show, where they're just like, wow, these fucking people are really into it, Well, and they were young. The crowd was pretty young. They came out to see him.
Shocking to them as it was to us as well. I mean, the kids are 15 years old and they knew every word to every song.
Yeah.
We when we went, we expected to see 40-year-old dudes.
Right.
But it was mostly kids.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, in the time since they broke up, their music's gotten much more popular. David Fincher used at the end of Fight Club, "Where's My Mind?"
Right.
And Kurt Cobain credited Smells Like Teen Spirit. He said he was just trying to copy a Pixies album.
Yeah, because it is still kind of underground. Like I was teasing Earl when he was at WNEW in New York. I don't think the Pixies were ever really embraced. They were embraced, critically and underground, but never really of that like you couldn't tell your friend who didn't know them, they're the band that played this song.
Right.
You know,
they were far more influential than they were
Right.
popular, just like Velvet Underground before them.
Right. There is a Velvet Underground feel about the whole band. And just a real bizarre lifestyle. I thought Kim Deal and her sister was such a cool storyline of these twins just being in their own world together. It seems like those guys almost talk to you more than they talk to each other, huh?
You mean each member of the band?
Yeah, each member of the band, yeah.
I would say that's probably true. There wasn't a whole lot of communication with them, I'd say, after the midpoint of the tour.
Right.
I think it's not so much that they don't like each other. I think they're just very different people at very different stages in life and dealing with their families. And Joey was scoring his own film while he was on the road. And
who seems to be the most of what you would say regular guy out of the whole band? Wouldn't you see? Lindsay came off in your film that way. Now
although Charles is pretty regular, drives a minivan, has kids,
right,
wife, and.
But there's also, I mean, the artist thing for him looms really far. I mean, he reminds you of one of those guys that's just going to start and put, automobile art up in his backyard. Like, even if he lived in Montana, there would be something that he would do. And that's, the interesting thing is, like, at different times, I mean, in a lot of ways, it reminded me of the Last Waltz characters, where they were these guys that weren't really urban people, yet they played the urban people. I mean, for a topic that you guys had, the band that you picked or ended up with, I think it's subtle, but it was really rich for you. And in terms of you're not just watching another guy screaming about backstage shit or whatever that they want. There was no star treatment at all with the band.
Yeah. I think they were really humbled by their years apart.
Yeah. Oh, and the fact that they all had to start over again?
Had to start over again and really didn't achieve anywhere near the level of success they did, even with the Pixies, which wasn't that big a success by the time they broke up.
But when they got back together, the same Pixies thing that happened here in the States is also in Europe, right?
Bigger.
Why do they think that is? Is there a radio play over there?
Well, they broke first. In '86, they broke first in Europe.
Is that right?
In England, so they instantly were catapulted to this, this sort of deity level. And their label 4AD is English based, and they, so they were always a much bigger phenomenon in Europe. And so when they, there's a lot of Brixton Academy footage in the film when they go back to England to play those 4 sold out shows at Brixton.
Right.
And according to their road manager, he told us that was by far the biggest thing for them on the entire tour, because they were the most nervous to go back and play to these fans
because they felt like they somewhat owed them, felt like that's who their history
it's sort of like it was more their homecoming than, say, playing their hometown show in Boston.
It always seems to me too like music is more important, oddly enough, to the people in England. I mean, they embrace it more. It's more of a fever, more of their everyday life than it is here. I don't think we even understand it.
They also have the apparatus of their music press. It's huge over there. It's not that big here, but like all the Enemy and, all that stuff, it's this, they sort of catapult people up to.
And then tear them back down and bring them back up. And they literally fight over their music over there. And here it's like, I don't know whether it's because our top 40 is so kind of bland or whatever, but they really let themselves be more defined by their music.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you say oddly enough, because it is odd.
Yeah, it is.
When you think about all the greatest rock bands ever, you try and think of who's the greatest American rock band of all time. It's like...
You really don't have that same feeling, do you? Like, a lot of times if you started to... We talked about this before. If you started to talk about even the biggest rock band, not like... It seems like we'll grab a Michael Jackson or an Elvis if there's like one solo person that we can put that Tom Cruise... thing. It's still more of like a movie star fixation that we have over here, I think. But the band that people really live and die with, I mean, really here, I think it would be more of their bands, European bands.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that all like the super famous European bands from the 60s and 70s all basically appropriate old American music, but somehow they made it, super popular.
I never understood that. What about for you, Earl? Did you notice that working at NEW for so long with Muni? I mean, obviously, he would go back and forth to Europe, right?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest feature on his show was Things from England, because all the happening music was coming from overseas. So it was weird. It was European music, but it was this weird interpretation of American music being filtered right back to us. It was just this odd combination. I think the biggest American bands were like a Creedence or a Tom Petty.
Or the band, you know.
Yeah, the band, which, let's face it, they're Canadian. As much as we act like they're ours, they're not.
Someone in that band is American.
Levon. That's all we have. We have Levon Helm out of the whole entire band, who, I don't know if he ended up with any of the songwriting stuff, did he, Hero?
Nope. That's been a big bone of contention for years.
We're talking about the new Pixies documentary, which is really amazing.
Loud, Quiet, Loud, a film about the Pixies. The directors are in studio with Stephen Cantor and Matthew Galkin.
What's the plans for the release on this? Theaters?
We're working that out right now.
Yeah.
It's actually on a long festival tour right now. It'll probably go through the summer.
When you guys go into a documentary, do you even know how it'll be released, or is it a little tougher with documentaries to get it released?
I think there's no hard and fast rules. We're actually doing one right now that we've already pre-sold to HBO. HBO will do a big major premiere. Matthew's directing.
I was talking about that with Joe earlier, that it does seem like there's more outlets right now for documentaries than ever before.
It's because they're becoming financially more viable at the box office.
But you guys, when you go into a project, you don't ever know when it ends. Like if you're going to do a film, a drama or something, you're like, here's the shooting dates that we worked it out. But if you start to follow a subject, how do you know when it's over?
Well, with the Pixies, for example, we knew we were going to follow them till the end of the tour.
Right.
We knew what the stop date was.
Yeah.
So, but even at some point, if they start adding more shows or there's a major fight, there's still something that could pop up with you. Did when you got into this, why did you pick the point that you started, which was really the first rehearsals? You guys didn't get much involved in the backstage. Here's how they landed. Here was the first awkward meeting. It seemed like it was about the music, right?
Yeah. Well, it was actually. I mean, that was almost logistical. It's like that's when we entered the process.
Yeah.
They had already worked out their details as far as the the negotiations and their contracts and everything and the money, but we came up with the idea. They invited us to their first rehearsal. That was that.
So basically, if you're going to go through whatever the subject is, you got to kind of hit it off with that person. I mean, you got to kind of sell yourself of, here we are, and this is the way it's going to work. Does it happen every time?
You have to earn their trust, and you have to make sure that you are really not imposing, especially the first few days. Like you said, the camera can really be intrusive.
Right.
So you have to be very careful, like really try and be a fly on the wall.
You guys have done some reality TV stuff as well, too, right? I saw the Amish and the city thing, which was, those Amish kids were just... I mean, it was a really weird thing to follow that when they were just really heartbreaking kids, Have you ever?
That was based on our documentary Devil's Playground, which is actually really heartbreaking.
The same thing from I hadn't seen that one.
Strictly from the Amish point of view.
And to explain that to people, they kind of live as Amish kids, and then at a certain point,
at age 16, they're set free from Amish rules and allowed to explore what they call the English way, which is the outside world.
And then they may come back and they may not.
Because they're Anabaptists, which means they're supposed to choose whether or not they want to be baptized as adults when they can make an informed decision. And so they're allowed to explore the way the other side lives, and then there's a lot of pressure exerted on them to come back.
And I mean, you're actually following kids around who aren't even that familiar with TV and film, right?
Yeah.
What was that like for them?
It's an amazing crash. Yeah. They have absolutely no exposure to anything, and all of a sudden at 16 they can drink and drugs and music,
right.
And they don't know the difference between a beer and crank and whatever.
Right.
It's all just...
I remember that because I grew up in Pennsylvania, and there would be a thing where you would hear like Amish kids getting busted for angel dust, and it would make you like, how could you make the leap of you don't even have a radio to the first chance you get you're smoking dust? But it doesn't matter. It's all new to them, right? It's like Mork for Mork at that point.
Exactly.
What else have you guys been involved in?
Steve and I made a show called Family Bonds together.
Oh yeah, for HBO.
Yeah.
That was over in Queens. Do you stay in touch with these people after you do one of the shows, or that's just the end of it?
It's funny you should say that. Have you ever seen Family Bonds?
Yeah.
The daughter who ends up giving birth on the show, I just bumped into her on the street this morning.
Oh, this morning here in New York?
Yeah, I hadn't seen her in a couple of months.
Yeah. And
that's been a tough family to shake. We've stayed pretty well in touch with them.
They know where we live.
They're calling.
Right.
They were wow. They seem like they really took to it and loved the whole point of being followed around.
Most people do, actually.
Yeah. Is that
the
right?
Cameras are very unintrusive, and we have kind of, I think, a nice, quiet way about us ourselves.
Yeah, and I really think about, too, I think people, because it always amazes me with a lot of that stuff, of how much people are willing to admit. Even with the Pixies stuff, Frank Black is saying stuff to you that he couldn't say to the other people in the band, like, I want to do a record. I'm trying to show them that I'm writing, and I'm hoping that they guess. I'm like, you're a professional communicator, but here you can't even communicate to the folks that are closest to you. It's very odd. Yet they're willing to tell the camera. You see that a lot?
Yeah, I think the camera almost becomes like a way for them to reveal their innermost thoughts or something, and they're not necessarily talking to us, having a conversation or anything, but they just are sort of free-forming, letting their ideas flow.
When you look at a film like this, I guess it's about 2 hours long. How much shooting do you do before you get to the end of it?
We only did about 2.5 hours to get to 2 hours.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's almost real time.
Lop off a half hour and you're done.
We shot...
It's hard to really tell with this film because a lot of times we were shooting multi-cameras, and at all times we had at least 2 cameras going, so we have something like 500 or 600 hours of footage, but I think that's deceiving.
Plus a tremendous amount of concert footage. I mean,
do you guys get together and go, here's how I think the film is going to look at the end, or you just wait until it's over?
Steve and I both had a very similar vision of how we wanted the film to feel.
Right.
You know, we wanted it to feel observational and, not detached, but just, quiet.
Right.
I mean, they're middle-aged rock stars, and there aren't that many films made about, honest portraits of middle-aged rock stars. So we let that inform the energy of the film.
Yeah, there's a really amazing scene that you guys have that they're just quietly leaving the dressing room and walking down the hall, and you're following them, and they're just kind of like you said, middle-aged, almost dull people, and you keep following, and you're getting out on the stage, and the place is going fucking ape shit. They're just losing it, and these people are, in a way, so far back and away from their own concert, in a way, And I mean, every show they give, it seems like they give 100%, but it's not their personality at all. There's not that rock star thing that we think about.
Let's go to the videotape and show a clip.
Yeah, we'll show a clip of it. All right, brand new documentary. I hope you guys will check it out. You say it's playing festivals now?
Tribeca.
Yeah.
At the beginning of May.
Are you guys going to be there at Tribeca this year?
Yeah. Also at the ArcLight in L.A.
Yeah. All right, terrific.
It's called Loud, Quiet, Loud, a film about the Pixies, directed by Stephen Cantor and Matthew Galkin.
Thanks a lot for coming in, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Fezzy, I'm telling you right now, we got to do something about getting our own documentary made. I should have a camera on me at all times and just making documentaries. I want to make one about Earl. The first chance I get. Earl, be ready for it and do something insane.
Ready for my close-up.
Yeah, make sure that you have some weird things going on. Like when we come to your apartment, just like a head sitting in the refrigerator or something.
I wouldn't mind that, Earl. You're somebody at the beginning of the film we think is a nice guy. At the end of the film, we find out he's a serial killer.
The Darkness of Black Earl.
Earl, we're like the documentary show now. Have you noticed that? The documentary guys are coming by all the time.
Yeah, it's a nice place to be, actually.
Is it?
I think so.
What if we expand into rockumentary? Well, that was rockumentary, I guess. And then mockumentary.
Oh, definitely. We could definitely go in that direction.
Maybe we'll make a documentary about a film nobody really wants to see. Like we'll make the Crankcase documentary, and just 4 guys trying to get together and do a gig at Caravas. And then one of them calls Billy at home, and Billy gets mad.
We'll have to see if we can get Billy on board, the wolf, of course. And
Billy's on top of things lately, Fez, let's face it. Billy is our go-to guy.
I had no idea when he said, if you need a mess cleaned up, call Billy, and he's cleaning.
He is the cleaner. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and wrap it up. Ron and Fez Show.
With the Ron and Fez Show. Now, tonight at 8 o'clock, the Cringe Humor Show featuring Robert Kelly and Otto and George. That's going to be at the Laugh Factory in Times Square. For more information on that show tonight, you can go to laughfactory.com or give them a call, 212-586-7829.
Maybe we can make a documentary about them. Maybe we just be like behind the stage of Cringe.
Just call the documentary Cringe. Two things going on with the Department of Homeland Security. Just the other day that the Deputy Press Secretary for Homeland Security, Brian Doyle, he gets arrested after trying to seduce what he thought was a 14-year-old girl online in Florida.
Is it Brian Doyle Murray?
This is a different Brian Doyle. So he's in trouble. Then we find out the former head of the Department of Homeland Security's program to stop child predators, he has pleaded no contest to charges that he exposed himself to a 16-year-old girl and started masturbating in front of her.
So what's the crime?
So I have no idea what's going on at that Department of Homeland Security. It's just a party over there.
Describe to me what he did wrong.
Well, it was a 16-year-old girl, and he exposed himself.
Right.
And then started jacking off for a while.
And the crime is where?
In the exposing and the jacking. That's where it all goes bad.
Well, if she wasn't there, it wouldn't be a crime. Maybe it's a victimless crime is what they call it. So the Homeland Security are a bunch of kid touchers at this point, 14 and 16. Between the two of them, they're 30. So what more do you want?
That is what we found out this week about the Department of Homeland Security. That instead of, while protecting the borders, all this mischief's going on. The American Family Association, they're trying to start a massive letter-writing campaign to keep Walmart from selling the Brokeback Mountain on DVD. So far, Walmart says they're going to continue to sell the movie.
Walmart's standing up to them, huh?
Yeah, now this seems like something where Walmart usually tries to get some sales out and then goes, oh yeah, we shouldn't do this, and pulls it off the shelves. But apparently they're sticking with this one. But this could go with their new DVD player that they're selling that filters out all the bad parts of any movie.
How do they get away with that?
That I do not understand. I mean,
it's not up to somebody else to edit the film, right?
Right, yeah.
And how do they know when to stop? If they see a tit, if somehow this DVD player hears fuck or sees a tit, it knows to edit?
Yeah, it's got filters in it, where it'll stop sex. There's like a sex filter.
But how could that happen? I mean, do you have a telephone that you can have people filter out certain words? How the hell does that even happen?
Yeah, it would have to be a situation where they know all the parts in the movie that they can offer to be edited out.
But how could a DVD player do that?
Yeah,
that would mean that would only be able to do DVDs that came out before that. So somehow, Fezzy, they're saying they have a DVD player that could get every word that could be objectionable. And when you really look at the number of words that can't get on TV, you've got to be looking at about 300 or 400. And then what happens to one family, there's families out there that don't even want to hear certain words at all that can get on TV. Like you can get ass on TV, but a lot of people don't, watch TV for that reason. Not only that, they have to know when a body part shows up. How the hell can that happen?
Yeah,
I don't even believe it. I don't believe that this thing has been invented.
And one of the other filters offered is the violence filter. So where would that even know what constitutes violence?
I watch Goodfellas. It's 13 minutes of the best film I've ever seen. All you see is guys eating.
You hear the Rag to Riches films music, and then the credits roll.
I honestly don't believe the story. I can't believe that this thing exists. Here is Kirby. Kirby, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, Fez, you're right. Every movie has its own little file in that DVD player, and it knows what movie you're watching, and it knows what times the bad parts are and when to cut out and when to cover.
Well,
so when you make the DVD, you would have to somehow list everything that would be inappropriate for the DVD player? What if you don't? It's still going to get on there. Hey, Mike, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, I've got one of those DVD players. What you do, it's called ClearPlay, and what you have to do is you've got to constantly download the updates for the new movies coming out, and it knows exactly when the times are that it has to cut out.
So somebody goes through and lists this, right?
Right. They go through, and then they make the edits. They put them on the website, and then you just go down, you download them, and then you put them onto your hard drive on your DVD player.
So you do this for your kids, Mike?
No.
Oh, you just have the DVD player.
Yeah, I've seen it. I wouldn't do that. No, that's wrong.
All right, thank you very much. Here is Dave. Dave, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, my dad actually has one of these things. It's like a black box. I'm not sure it's along the lines of ClearPlay, but what it does is goes by the closed captioning and mutes the entire movie for about 5 seconds on each side of the swear word in the closed captioning.
So you could only watch a film that has a couple of curse words.
Well, actually, film or television. I've seen it work on live television, even if it's something like Hell or anything to that extent.
Right. So with that, but how do they blank out the sex scenes?
The sex scenes, that again, I've only seen it on live television, so it's going by the swear word. So I'm not sure about the sex scenes.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so that's what we'd have to do. Does it blank out your TV for 5 to 10 seconds?
And with the violence filter, the violence could be anything from a war scene to, someone getting punched in a bar.
Right, there's people that don't want their kids to watch fist fights. I watched one of these, I had one set up for boxing, and it really was terrible. It was awful. Here's Jeremy. Jeremy, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, BAC 325.
Way to go, old school.
Hoo-ah! Now, I don't understand. You see, with Walmart, they can really look at these people at the American Family Association and say, seriously, where else are you rednecks going to shop?
Do you think they would finally stand up to them?
You could hope.
What else are you people going to do? We've taken over the country. First of all, you work here. You just don't shop here. You work here. I thank you very much. Shinebox, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Ronnie, what do you think would happen if we threw one of the movies from Fezzi's private collection in this thing? I think the whole thing might fucking blow up smoking.
When people say they're against this stuff, I go, well, you never watched the movie with Fez. You wish you had one of those CD things.
That just comes with a blindfold.
I think we should fucking start going V for Vendetta style on Walmart and blow that smiley face to fucking bits. Enough is enough with these motherfuckers. I'm all for people having parental rights, but this is fucking horse shit.
I don't care. I don't care if they sit and take a grapefruit spoon and carve up all their movies. I don't want them to fuck with mine. But if they go over to their house, they want to censor themselves, why the hell would I give a shit? Here is Brian. Brian, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, guys, I have one of those DVD players. And
I got my own radio show.
Well, I'm sorry there, Ronnie. But you can go through and you can set the level of violence or sexuality that you want to see on there. So if your kid's like 13, you can set it to a PG-13 rating if it's rated R.
I would just put some bush, no gash.
And also, if I may, there was a Mormon couple up in Utah that's buying DVDs and actually editing them themselves in their own home. And there's a big lawsuit going on.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, you can't, and it's dead wrong. But that's all I got, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah, I don't blame people. If you make a film, if you make Goodfellas, it should be up to them to say this is the way the edits work, not up to some lady, some Mormon lady up there in Utah to decide here's the good parts and here's the bad parts. Or why not just voice over it yourself?
She's just up all night just taking the scissors to showgirls.
Here's Rory. Rory, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at the ClearPlay website right now, and I've got the thematic elements for the 1960s Batman movie pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads like a fucking Scorsese film.
All the kind of cartoon fighting scares them.
Yeah, this is what it has on there. Threatening dialogue, criminal/gangster/mob themes, alcohol consumption, bar club environment. It's ridiculous.
I never wanted my kids to see anybody climb up the side of a building. So that was one of my problems with Batman.
I thought this would be one of the filters this new DVD player uses. Like when there's a violent scene, like in Goodfellas, you would just see wham or pow across the screen instead of the actual violence.
You know what? That is a good point, that if kids should watch violence, they should see how violent violence actually is. Not that it's some kind of a big fun sweet thing where no one really gets hurt, or they look like they go to sleep when they're knocked out. You can just come up and give that karate chop on the neck, and the person goes to sleep. Kevin, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies.
What can we do for you, Kevin?
What's one of these new DVD players do if you put a porno in it? Just throw its arms up and give up, or just set
It would
off
blow
stuff
up.
on
It would
fire?
actually catch on fire and start screaming.
Love your show, guys.
All right, see you later.
It would probably spit it out and just start, acting like it's going to puke.
So this is called Clear Play?
Clear Play is what we heard.
I would like to get a Clear Play for Coldplay. So every time my chick tries to put on Coldplay, I get to fucking slap something else in there.
What is wrong with this CD? So we'll see how big of a seller this is from Walmart.
We will see, Fezzy. Dan, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, I want a DVD player to add nudity to DVDs.
I want to get that from my window. So when I'm still looking for the X-ray glasses that they had in comic books when I was a kid, where I thought you were going to be able to see through close.
We'll never get those. The ad would show a guy looking through a hand, looking at a handful of bones there, a skeleton, and then there would always be a woman with her hand on her hip, a curvy woman that you were supposed to be able to see through.
What are you doing, lady? Joe, hey, Joe.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Where you going with that phone in your hand?
Well, I'm a truck driver, and I'm thinking about Old Yeller. Is it just going to cut right to the credits, right at the end when they blow the dog's head off?
Don't even bring that up, man. When I think about what happened to Old Yeller, after everything he did for this family, and we still got to put him down, I get fucking choked up right now.
That's all I got, guys.
I would do anything if I would have had that Old Yeller edited out at the end. I would have loved it as a child. Loved it.
Turns out to be a happy story about a boy and a dog. Maybe that'll happen at the end of our Earl documentary. We just have to put Earl down at the end.
I'm not going to do it now. I've had the cameras on him for 45 minutes. He hasn't moved. It's like stop action with Earl. You're just hoping you can finally get some movement going.
It's like bad animation.
Oh, just getting ready to wrap this one up. What is today? Say Thursday?
It is Thursday.
Yeah. Anything on TV tonight?
Tonight starts the brand new season of Ultimate Fighter on Spike TV.
What's that about?
This is it's guys getting trained for the Ultimate Fighter challenge, and Ken Shamrock is back leading one of the teams against one of the other Ultimate Fighters. So apparently there's a grudge there between Shamrock and...
I don't understand, but it sounds... Is it a reality show where we take a regular person and train them to be an Ultimate Fighter, or they're all Ultimate Fighters already?
They're already Ultimate Fighters.
Yeah.
So, and they eliminate each other to see who's going to be the Ultimate Fighter.
I see.
And then, of course, Survivor on tonight, Exile Island, and that All Aboard Rosie's Family Cruise. That documentary.
Have you watched that yet?
No, I haven't checked it out. So that's on HBO tonight at 8 o'clock in the East.
I think there's something else I watch on Thursday, so I can't even think of it anymore.
Survivor still on Thursday?
I'm just going to see how my Nets are doing. Yeah, that's why Fez brought up Survivor, because it's still on. So when he brings it up, that's when we stop asking if it's on. After someone tells you what you're having for dinner, you stop asking them, what are we having for dinner?
He didn't believe me.
Yeah. He has one of those ClearPlay headphones. He only hears me. So all this time, it's like he hears Tyler Durden, but never Ed Norton.
Yeah, Survivor's on tonight, Earl. Enjoy.
My bad.
Here is Jack. Jack, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, I miss Fez with the Kung Fu grip.
Yeah.
How about Passion of the Christ? I think that would start with the credits and end with the credits, and that's it.
Well, the problem with Passion of the Christ, if you took out the violence, Christ would stay a Jew. And what would be worse for the Christian people is that if Jesus stayed a Jew.
Will we have gone on to be Jews, or will we have stayed pagan?
Brad, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies, what's up?
Yeah.
BAC 14876.
Way to go old school, bro.
Hoo-ah! Hey, I just want to get one of the DVD players that actually do the reverse, where they only put on the saxophone violence. That would be sweet.
I wish I could have one of those things that take out the violins. Not so much the violence, but I want to get rid of some of those violins in the shows I'm watching.
It's a classical instrument.
I'm not a classical rock guy, Fez. I don't go back that far. Everything's got to be new. I'm going out to a party tonight with 2 documentary guys, so I don't know what you fellas are up to.
Thanks to Stephen Cantor and Matthew Galkin for coming by to talk about Loud, Quiet, Loud, a film about the Pixies, and Joe Berlinger, who is here telling us about 10 Days That Unexpectedly Changed America. That starts on the History Channel, airing April 9th through the 13th.
Like fucking Jason Kidd. Did you see me just nailing that trash can from here? Nailing it.
The streak continues.
We playing tonight, or our Nets playing tonight? Let me know, because I am on the bandwagon.
I don't think so, but I'll go check.
I will not miss a single Net game for the rest of the year.
They're on fire.
Yeah, we all are. We are on fire. So we'll see you tomorrow, gang. Take care.
The Ron and Fez Show. XM2.